Leni, bro, welcome to the back of 135, man.
Man, it's a pleasure.
You know when we met. Was it last month? The Polynesian basketball.
I think it was last month,
Yeah,
not too long ago, just after the lockdown.
Mm.
And you came and said hello, and I saw your setup. Quite impressive.
Because I was interested because you're actually standing in the place we sussed out the night before. Like to film the basketball about now. But I was you had all your video gear there, and I was like impressed with what you were doing there, like, with your stuff. Like, so you've got your own live streaming sort of business that you do.
Yeah. So
for events and stuff.
Yeah. So just a little bit of myself. My name's it's most Polynesians. So a little bit of myself. My name's Leni Fifita. Born in Tonga, raised up here in New Zealand. So I consider myself a bit of I call myself a tiwi. Born in Tonga, raised up here. Raised up with a single parent. And times were tough, but talking about the business side of it, most people just go right now and say, man, I wish I got into that like now. But I did a little, we chatted before, I did a little bit of research about 2 years ago. I was looking in the platform. I've always delved in the videography sense, and as you know in your podcast that it's the editing side of it, where the live streaming is what you see is what you get. And basically, there's no editing. I mean, you can edit it after the recording and that sort of stuff. But it has taken me a wee while to perfect my craft. I'm still doing it, and I'm still learning as I'm going. And I'm always trying to better myself.
Yeah. So how'd you get that gig anyway at the basketball?
Oh, so basically, my cousins, Jennifer, she's actually my first cousin. And she just approached me to come and live stream some of their footage. So the Tongan TAPA, the Tongan Association Basketball Association, something like that. So I said, oh yeah, man, I'll come. And and I just had to shoot off. So I had another boxing gig to do that. But I love live streaming sports. I've got a couple of weddings coming up, and it's an honor and a privilege, especially this day and age, to be able to connect families. You know what I mean? To being able to connect them in a way, as we all know, with COVID, it's very, very difficult, and just make them feel part. And part of the something that I try and do is, as I'm still learning the craft, is try and connect them and make it interactive as possible. Make them feel part of it. So when I'm doing live streams, I do think my graphics and it's how you're feeling, what do you like about this, and that sort of stuff. Just trying to make it just interactive with people.
Yeah, because that what I was interested in when I first saw what you were doing at the basketball, and when I actually first talked to you about it, like in my mind, I thought, man, this is a new kind of thing. Like, I never heard of live streaming.
You haven't heard of live
events?
streaming?
No,
I
hadn't.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, man, this is a good market to be in. This day and age, especially with the COVID lockdown and stuff. Like everybody was doing, you couldn't go to a funeral. People overseas had to get a live stream and watch it on their TV screen and stuff. So, those kind of things came to mind. But I've never heard of. Before I met you, I never heard of like a live streaming sort of gig. For stuff like that.
Yeah, not many people do it. Like for those people who do watch the internet, there's a few guys, Tongan guys, that I've always looked up to or always seen that they do live streaming. But no disrespect for them. There's a guy called Paula Moimoi. He's quite known in the Tongan community, and he's got a lot of followers and people. His go-to guy. But I just they carry these big cameras. I think you saw my setup. I use like iPhones, and I carry my stuff in 2 small cases, and that's So when I go to a wedding or a funeral, I can do up to 9 camera angles. I've never used 9 camera angles before. There's no need, and it's all remote, and it's basically, I'm a one-man person, and why I can be a one-man person is like I can set up 3 to 4 cameras and I control them remotely, and it's a huge savings on the person who, whether it's a funeral, wedding, that sort of stuff. And my objective is just trying to connect families. So I've got a wedding this coming Saturday, and it's her name is Janice Alva'a, and a gentleman by the name of Tarek. He's from Jamaica. Amazing story, man. Long story short, they met up in a conference 4 years ago in here. Long distance relationship. They were in Miami 4 weeks ago. Did the quarantine, and they're here. And now I have the privilege of live streaming their wedding this Saturday for families and friends in Jamaica, New York, United States, Australia, and in Samoa. So it's a huge pressure, trying to connect these guys, and I'm just so a privilege to be part of it.
Man, guys, did you know about live streaming, like as opposed to like having a photographer at your wedding or funeral? Because I must be living under a rock. I never heard of it, but it was good. It's good to.
No, I've seen. I recently watched a funeral, one that they had at Waikimete Cemetery, and but I guess this is the norm. This has to be the norm now because of COVID. Families aren't able to make trips to see loved ones off or make loved ones' weddings, and how much has business picked up because of COVID, because of all these situations? Like we were chatting off air before, and you said that instead of weddings being cancelled, they've been pushed back, and now you're pretty much booked out till Christmas.
Yeah, pretty much at the end of the year. So my wife, she runs a event business. It's TKT in current events. Quick plug in for her.
Nice. Of course.
And so through level 4, she's had very fortunate for her. She's had a lot of her events just been pushed back. And the funny thing is, so none of her events really got cancelled, but a lot of her events got pushed back. And for those who are listening, a lot of couples, they've already pre-booked their weddings, so this has happened in March, April, and a lot of these couples that had weddings during that COVID time, they try to push it back to November, December, but couples have already booked those dates for venues and that stuff. But in answer to your question, it's really picked up for me, and it's just trying to find space and trying to find time. For those who don't know, I this is a side gig for me, and I currently work at Unitech, so I'm the apprenticeship manager. So I've been there. So that's my background. I'm a builder. I'm not a good builder, so don't ring up and hire me. I always say I'm not a good builder, man. So don't hire me. But I do have some guys that they can do the work.
So saying you're a better live streamer than a builder.
Yeah. I do take part. I do make stuff for my wife as a builder, and it's quite handy for her, so she can be innovative and it's all about being different. You know what I mean? And for me, is as a live streamer, I wouldn't say a live streamer. There are quite a few people. Like I said, I'm not trying to down the other guys that do live streaming. They have these big cameras, and I don't know about you guys, but when some people they see these big cameras, they go oh, and but when they see phones, people take videos of phones. It's like the norm. You're used to it. You'll feel comfortable in front of a phone. But in answer to the question, yeah, man, business has been busy. I generally don't like to do funerals. Just a side note, because every time I do funerals, it reminds me. I still get memories of my mum's funeral. I wish someone did that for me. And long story short, I never got closure on my mum. I got a phone call, her wishing me a happy birthday, and I wasn't live streaming that time. In 2014, I was actually recording a funeral for an aunt. And driving home, I got this phone call. My uncle ringing me. I'll just come home, mum's sick, and I'll come and see you tomorrow. Long story short, she passed away. So I never got any closure. So I generally go easy on my pricing for funerals because I don't like taking money. Us polys, we spend a lot on funerals and that sort of stuff, and especially for funerals in this COVID time. I did a funeral, and there was only 10 people. You're only allowed 10 people, including myself. It's tough.
Because it must be tough knowing that out of the 10 people, because of your position, you take a spot that could have gone to another.
Exactly.
Other one. So you've got to try and do it justice by.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
funny how you talked about the small cameras over the big over the shoulder, or the camera where because everyone's got those little holding this cradle things now.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I can see where you're coming from, because everyone walks around. You know, when you go to a wedding or you go to an event and everyone's holding their phone in front of them, it's less intrusive because we become used to it.
Yeah.
And back in the days when you go to a big event and you see someone's holding the big camera and the wire coming out, you feel like it's quite intrusive. I do find that that's why people kind of accepting of the cameras that you use, because they are less intrusive.
They're very tiny. For those who actually know, like iPhones, Samsungs, and they're small devices, and I chuck them on a little monopod, and it's very small. And like some people don't even know. The funny thing is, I walk into a venue and some of the guys goes, "Oh, where's the rest of your gear?" And and I was like, "This is it," and they give you that look and goes, "Oh, okay, it's not going to be that good." But then when they, if you do jump on the page, Lopstream, Facebook, and look at the footage, you wouldn't even know it's shot by an iPhone.
And that was one of the things I was impressed when I first saw you working at the basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Like you only had your little iPad on the stand.
Yeah.
Then you had a mic on the side, and you had was it the power pack or something?
It's basically just if you want all day battery, I basically just connect it into a power bank just to give you that all day battery. Because I was shooting for a whole day for little events or podcasts or just one. So on the iPhone, without getting powered, I can get up to about 6 hours. But yeah, man, it's just like we chatted earlier. It's been a huge learning curve for me, and it's for those who want to get into live streaming. Do just search. There are actually multiple platforms. The reason why I chose this one is for actually those who actually know. So the platform I use is called Cinemaker, and it's basically you can use iPhones, mobile devices. You can plug big cameras and that sort of stuff. But the reason why, like I said, it's just a small, minimal footprint, and it's just less scary for those. And like you said, man, like my uncle when I was a young kid, he had. People were listening pretty young during. They wouldn't even know they had these big ass cameras, and they had those VHS. Yeah, they put that in, and
Because my one of the boys, he's a regular on the podcast. Roger, he was studying film studies at the university. So I remember going with him, and he was one of those guys that we would go and record stuff, and he'd. Would go, "Oh, can you come bring your your video recorder?" And it was the big, over the shoulder, carrying stuff. And I just remember when it was there, like all the amount of time that would have to go into the editing. I remember going into it when he was at university, and just the amount of effort that it puts in. How much has technology changed? Because besides doing the live stream, do you still provide a video, or do you do the package where you do all the behind the scenes kind of stuff?
Yeah. So I do different type of packages.
Yeah.
And for me, it's all about just trying to be different and trying to be unique. So this couple here, Janice and Tarek. So I've done a package for them, and it's just really optional. And I love this couple. They've got amazing energy. And so what I've done for them is, the package that I recommend. Let's talk about weddings. So I would love to get about 40 photos for a slideshow. I do a pre-interview with them, which I talk to the couple. So we did it yesterday, and it's basically talking about their journey, and what they do and that sort of stuff. And also do a testimony videos, about 30 seconds to a minute, where if they've got family and friends who cannot come and join the wedding or funeral and that sort of stuff, they do a video. So I have a Dropbox type system. They plonk it into there. So what I normally do is in the reception, I play that section before and that. So for a whole day, when I do the live streaming, they also get a recording as well. So live streaming is normally I normally do it at 720p. man, when you have these small devices, like people goes, oh, I want it 1080p or 4K. It's like, mate, your phone don't do 4K or 1080p, and it's just like you really don't notice the difference. So basically, all in all, they get a live stream at 720, and also they get a recording at 1080p, and basically, for me, there's no editing. I mean, I can edit, but what I tell them, this is the raw stuff. This is what's on face. So I stream onto Facebook, I can stream onto YouTube, but I think for our generation and for our community, like, let's say your mums or your aunties, they don't have a Facebook account. They don't have a YouTube account, but they have a Facebook account. And so why I use Facebook is it's just everyone's got a Facebook and they can do comments when the funeral or whatever, so they can express their feelings and that sort of stuff. So yeah, so once all is done, I do that shooting, then I come home and I press a button and it compiles the footage for me. Then I just compress. So I compress it just to shrink the file a little bit. Then I just press another button and it uploads to my server and I send the client a copy. So if they really want it, I can do it in 24 hours, less than 20, deliver the final copy as well. But the live stream is always going to be on Facebook for them to see.
That's crazy.
Oh, I was gonna say, I remember in the old days when they had the big cameras on the shoulder of the tapes, you know, and the guy would be running around, just like the photographer would be running around with the camera taking photos, and then you get the video guy running around with the cord, taking videos and that. But obviously with the live stream, like, are you like standing still in one position, or are you moving around as well?
Yeah, no, so basically I'm the guy that does all the switching of the cameras. So big events. So I got my little nephew that's helping me out this weekend. Sometimes I have to give him a clip around the ears. I do pay him well. So basically, his role is, so I have a walkie-talkie. His role is basically go and get the extra shot that I can't get. So for this wedding, I have 2 cameras. No, I have 4 cameras. So he's on the roaming camera, so he can like go outside. I was like, hey, go outside and give me that shot. One at the front table facing down, one, and I also have a cable cam. So basically it's like a spider cam. So I set it up inside the thing, and it just gets me any angle. So that saves me a lot. And like I mentioned, it's remotely controlled, so I can like left, right, up, down, and zoom in.
Oh wow!
So hence why like I don't need as many helpers for boxing events. Like I did a gig for Glosia Boxing on that last Saturday, so I had to shoot off. That's different because obviously I put one man on one corner, one man in another corner. It's just easier getting that stuff. So
yeah, that's pretty cool.
You know, it's funny because back in the days when it came to weddings, funerals, people used to like record them or like onto DVD, onto video.
Yeah. And
then you'd send them out, or they'll pass them around. Now that you've got this, now that you've got Facebook and stuff, that's the amazing thing about the internet. It'll just sit there, once it goes on there, it's on there forever. Do you find the older generation they can't grasp the fact that you can actually go to a YouTube page or you can go to a Facebook page and watch that?
Yeah, there are some older generations that still want to watch it on the big screen TV. Hence why I still, like in the package that I do, I still give them a USB. So I post out a USB as well, just for those thing. There are the older generation. I've got a grandma. She's an 86, and man, she's amazing on Facebook. But I know that there are some people, even some there are some in the 30s, 40s that just not as tech savvy. They just want something. I don't do DVDs anymore. It's just, Jesus, I don't know what a DVD is anymore. But
exactly.
but basically on the USB minimum, I'll put all the stuff on the USB if they want it. But the platform I use, it's do look into it. It's called Send. It's on the free platform you can send files up to 10 gigabyte. But now sometimes that's free. And I've done a lot of research, so that's one of the ones I use at the moment. So I just send people a copy, then they just download the full version, and they get the copy, full version, you know, like just in a higher quality. But Facebook is one of the major platforms that I use, just predominantly because, like I said, not everyone has a YouTube account, and the reason for Facebook is everyone's got Facebook. Everyone knows how to use it. Everyone knows how to. And the reason why I like Facebook is when they're watching a wedding or a live stream and stuff, they can hit that like button, hit that heart button, sad face, crying face, make comments.
Because you can get feedback as well. Like you're getting feedback at the same
Yeah.
time, because they can actually say, "Hey, cameraman, do you have do you make a note?" Because you said that you can see the comments coming up. Do you pay attention while you're doing the recording? Because someone might go, "Hey, is there any chance you could get a close up of the cake or anything like that?"
Yeah. So mine, I do. It's not a priority of mine to look at the comments, but I do monitor the comments as well. So I've got a lot on. So when I have my iPad, when I have this iPad, I've got, let's say if I've got 3 cameras, I can see the 3 or 4 cameras, and I just press the button to switch. So I've got that to monitor. I've got the sound to monitor as well, and I've got my cousin that sometimes doesn't listen, and it's tough for him. I love you, Gordon, but sometimes he's shy. But but mate, like I'm saying this is a nice way. I'm quite ruthless. For me, man, it's all about the angle. Do whatever it takes to get that angle. And sometimes being a young fella, he's like 16, but he looks 21, and he's shy. He's like really, really shy.
I know how Gordon feels, because on this, when we saw you at the basketball event, and Cam said to me, "Okay, go down on the floor," because they were doing the performance, and go and try and get this angle in that. And because it was so full on, in the back of my head, I'm like, I'm not a cameraman. If I had maybe anything that, but I was holding an iPad.
Yeah.
People would probably think, well, this guy, look, this guy is just one of the parents who has come to support his kid, and he's up there like he's kind of he's legit, like hired by even though we were, asked by Sefo to come in to the basketball. I know how Gordon feels, because I don't. That's me personally, because I don't feel like I've got the right to be there. Even though Gordon probably, I haven't met Gordon. Gordon's one of the boys, but Gordon, get over it now, because I know how you feel.
Yeah.
So hopefully this has kind of inspired you, but it is difficult. I remember when I was young, we had a camcorder as well.
Yeah.
And my dad would tell me, go and get go and get this shot and all of this, and I'd be, oh man, I don't like standing in front of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's especially when there's a packed crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially church is the worst.
Well, church, what, Sundays and that. And if you watch my old work, you'll probably think I've got, some kind of
Parkinson's.
Just Parkinson's. I've got the shakes, man. And I can picture now, watching it, because I'm thinking, man, I finally got the angle that my dad wanted, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm in a car that's going through a real bumpy road, because all the shaking and that.
Yeah, my top cameraman, man, his name's Cedric Falau. I think you should get him on the podcast. He is a good friend of mine. Not only that, he actually won the 2019 Apprenticeship of the Year, First Pacific Islander. So he helps me, and I pay him well. But man, he's a beast, man. He will just he knows what I want, you know what I mean? So yeah, I can be quite ruthless when it comes to camera angles, and
because you're trying to do the best, you're trying to get the best by your client.
Like I know where you're coming from. Sometimes like they don't know what you want as what camera angle, but trying to explain. And he's a young guy, and I know, like, going to weddings and stuff, there's some young girls and bridesmaids, and that's why he's shy as well. That's why he's shy as well. It's like, the girl's looking. I was like,
So you always like that kind of guy to be ruthless. You described your confidence as being ruthless.
I don't want to be. I don't know if ruthless is the word, but man, I want them to get that angle. You know what I mean? To get that to angle. And it's quite sometimes when I get frustrated. I'll be honest. Sometimes when I do get frustrated, I say, you come and do this, and I'll be the guy doing your roaming, and I'll just start, like, I wouldn't say ruthless and being in a way and being disrespectful to the bride and groom or the funeral, but it's just getting that angle. You're trying to get that angle, trying to be different, And for me, I'm always pushing the boundary in my live streaming. It's just want to be different than everyone else. I just want to be better myself, I'm one of the hardest critics. I'll go back and look at the stuff that I've done and say, I wish I could do that better. I mean, there's always stuff we can do better, you know what I mean? And if we're not always looking to better ourselves, someone's going to catch up to you or overtake you, or just, you're always just trying to improve, I think, yeah.
When was the point you knew there was a market for this? Like when was it? When?
About 2.5 years ago.
And you saw it growing? You saw other people doing it, or
I didn't
other
see other people doing it. Like, I saw Facebook when Facebook Live first came out. I'm not a huge Facebook person, but I was like, Live, and like for me, like, and most videographers will know about this is they'll go and do a shoot. It's the editing, bro. It's the editing, and without sounding cocky on here, I'm trying to be humble. It's like I mentioned, like I'll do the live streaming, and when I'm doing the live stream, I'm actually recording as well. And when I get home, I press a button and it compiles all the angles and stuff for me. You know what I mean? But yeah, about 2.5 years is when I started just looking for a platform. For those who I love fishing, so I used to have these GoPros, and you know what GoPros are?
Yeah.
So I had about 3 of those because they were really small. So because I had these GoPros, I had 3 of them. I was like, man, like I know what these cameras do, but if I can get something small and just put them around for weddings, then I looked at like stuff that, how can I connect this to make something small as a live streamer? And I just search. I came across other stuff, and there are better platforms than what I use at the moment. But it's just what suits me. This is what's perfect for me. Like what may work for you guys may not work for me, and what may work for you may not work for you. It's just finding that thing that works for you the best. Yeah. So about 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, because I'd imagine that was a light bulb moment for you. For me, when you just reminded me about when I remember when Snapchat first came out.
Yeah.
And there was this thing on Snapchat when if there was an event somewhere, in town, everybody will be at the event and they'll be snapping. And then there's a place that you could go to on Snapchat that you would see everybody's snap from that event.
Yeah.
And that was sort of like live snaps of all different angles because everyone's there. Like if it was a concert, like you'll see snaps of like 50 people at the same concert, and you'll get an idea of what's going on because different angles and blah blah blah. So I think for me, like when I saw that, I thought that, man, this is really cool. Like this is like a sort of like it feels like I'm there, not being there. That live sort of thing. So
yeah, and that's something about the lives these days. It's all trying to be about interactive and trying to. For me, I think I have an obligation of trying to emotionally connect those who cannot be here. Hence why I try and like just think out of the box. How can I involve their sister? Okay, I'll get them to send me a video and to make them feel part of it. You know what I mean? I did a funeral not too long ago, and they couldn't come over. A Tongan funeral. They're in Melbourne, and their dad passed away, and they just couldn't come over. You know what I mean? And just they were so grateful for me to do a live stream. First time I did an all-nighter live stream, man. That was tough, man. That was
So what time did that start?
So I did their last, we call it an Apo night for the Tongans. So I did the Thursday, then the Friday I started at 5, and I went all the way through to the burial. And I finished at, I don't know, man, I think 3 o'clock. Yeah, man. So, but once again, man, like, it was just, like, it was, I just felt I had a duty to do, you know what I mean, to help connect them. And, yeah. And I learned a few things. Number one, Facebook Lives can then go up to 8 hours. So every 8 hours I had to stop,
refresh it,
then start. But they were so grateful for that, you know what I mean. And they were just happy to feel like she was there with her dad.
Yep.
You know, so yeah. But it's a learning curve. Like, man, I had So the first journey on my live stream, for those who don't know, like my wife and I have a really good relationship. Have you guys heard of Manhattan, the one in the thing?
Yes,
Yep.
I
Yeah.
mean, you can't be an islander and not know.
Yeah, exactly. Eh?
Manhattan, you know,
Yeah.
the fish and the chocolate log.
Oh, the famous
Yep,
chocolate log.
You know, everyone knows that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of my testing without sounding bad to Manhattan. So basically, in my early days when I first started off, when I decided on the platform that I was going to use, so I approached Manhattan and said, man, I'll come and live stream your events for free. So for me, that was no pressure. You weren't paying me for it. So basically, it was a testing ground for me. So I live streamed their Wednesday nights.
That's funny because I never actually saw any of those. I mean, I wish I'd known because I know that's when 2020 would come in.
Yeah, they're still playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last Wednesday they started, but I had something on that Wednesday.
Okay.
But most times I go in there on Wednesdays. You know, like, just a live stream for them. For me, it's a revenue for me for advertising as well. Test things out just to keep myself sharp in the game. Try some new graphics, try some new equipment and that sort of stuff. Yeah, so I started there and picked up a few jobs just from that, and from that it's just started to roll for me. Yeah.
You know, you're talking about your cable cam, and when I heard that, whoa, that sounds pretty flash.
Yeah, so it's a cable cam, man. So basically, it's I've used it a couple times. I did a event for Limelight DJ early this year, so I used it for that. So basically, it's just fly. So obviously, you can't fly drones in the indoor arena and stuff. So basically, I just hooked it up, and it just goes back and forth or side to side, and it just gets you that view.
I mean, I'll be honest. I don't think I've ever seen any. And I've been to a few funerals, and a few weddings, and just if someone had that, I'd be like, okay. If I saw that, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, I've used it a couple of times.
Where did they get this guy?
Yeah, I've used it a couple of times in the Manhattan just recently, just to test out their venue and stuff. I'm not too sure if I want to use it for this wedding because it's a small wedding. I may or may not, just depend. I haven't done any testing, but it's just the reason why that cable cam just gives you a bit more range and a bit more angles. It just gives you a bit more range and a bit more angles.
Speaking of drones, do you use them much for your videos?
I
mean, for outdoor events, outdoor weddings.
Yes and no. I haven't had an outdoor wedding, so and I haven't had a chance. So basically, I can hook up a drone and I can do a live. That's one of the things, man. I do have a drone pilot. He's my cousin. He's been chomping at an opportunity to do that. But that's one thing I really wanna do. So I'm hoping to get an outdoor gig where I can connect the drone and people go, oh shucks, I've never seen someone do a live stream drone shot. Yeah. So.
You know, when you first started at the Manhattan, what sort of equipment were you using?
Phones, just phones. Phones as well.
Okay.
Yeah, phones as well. Had an older iPad, older phone. So I was actually starting off with iPhone SEs, and they were going about $100 a piece, like iPhone 5 SEs. At the moment, I'm using iPhone 11 Pros and iPhone 11s. So I've got about 5 of those. Don't really need more. With the new iPhone 12s, I really want that, but the price is just really, really expensive at the moment. And also with the new 5G thing that's happening, so those new iPhones, sorry I'm boring you guys with tech.
No man, we love that stuff.
It's just because 5G is not really rolled out here in New Zealand, and for those who are live streaming, it's not the download speed, it's the upload speed that you need. You know what I mean? So if you have poor upload speed, then your live stream will be really, really choppy. It will be buffering from the other people as well. So it's all about absolute the upload speed. One of the venues I struggled, but luckily I went in and did some testing. So for me personally, before I get a gig, I go out and I go out to the venue. If I haven't been to the venue, so I'll go to the venue and do some testing. So basically I do some Wi-Fi testing, making sure I have sufficient upload speed, and like I just had a little chat to you guys earlier on, so I carry pretty much all the network SIMs: Vodafone, 2 Degree, Spark, Skinny, I don't know what else. I think that's the main four that I carry. And my go-to is Spark. So I'm with Spark. Spark, please sponsor me one day. So Spark is, they generally cover a lot of the New Zealand. Hence why I use that. And also 2 Degrees and Vodafone, depending on what area they cover. I use them as well. So so I went into there's the Fairview Event Centre out at North Shore, and I did some testing there, and Spark and Vodafone seem like the two good ones. Yes, I can. You probably think, yes, I can use the in-house Wi-Fi, but I've got this guy that I follow on the internet. His name is Chris Carson. So my gear is almost like a replica of his. So the number one rule is we do not recommend to use other people's Wi-Fi because you just don't know what it is or don't know who's using it. You know, it may be fast when you do your testing, but when people come in and they might say, "Oh, can I use that free Wi-Fi?" Then it slows and it just things. And plus, if you have your own Wi-Fi, you control what happens, and at least you can have full control.
So Spark just gives you a little a dongle you just plug in?
Nah. So basically, I take my SIM card and chuck in my iPad.
Oh.
Or I have a modem as well. I'll just show you. Hold it for a second.
Me.
Oh, damn.
I did some testing today at the
yep.
church. So yeah, I've got the Netgear M1. Reason why I got yellow because I've got 2 of these. I imported this from the States. And yeah, man, so chuck a SIM. So I've got a 2 Degrees SIM in here.
Yeah.
And so that's what I use. So I got that, and also my iPad 11 Pro, and I use a software. Which you can combine multiple internet connections, just to give you that stable thing as well.
Oh, true.
Man, there I was. I was just thinking that, like, this guy must just use the Wi-Fi of each place that you go to, but just the amount of stuff that you tick off. How much time do you spend besides the recording? Because you say you go to the venue, you do the testing, you ring people, you contact people from, or that can't make it to send through their testimonials. How much time do you reckon you do besides the actual recording beforehand?
Not much, to be honest. Because I put the onus on thing, and for example, this couple, Janice and Tarek, man, they're, and not every couple is like that. You don't really have onto it people. But Janice and Tarek, they've just been really on the ball. You know what I mean? They've organised, send the videos. Once again, it's optional. You know what I mean? So I just set up the Dropbox. I send them the link, and I say, guys, I just need it by this date. And if it's not in by that date, then I won't include it because it's time for me, and I have a day job as well. But man, like as you guys both know, if there's something that you're really passionate and really enjoy, you'll do it anyway, man. And it's all about just being, like I said, just pushing the boundaries and just trying to make something different. Yeah.
How was your journey with professional development with what you're doing now? Of learning, were you going, you're self-taught, obviously?
Yeah, self-taught, man.
Going on YouTube and learning about the equipment and
yeah.
then you're knowing how much things will cost, and then you've got your goal to get the new equipment and stuff. How was that?
Huge secret. All my gear, it's all been used. It's all used stuff. So I'm all about, like, my background is building background, also a project manager background. So I'm all about cutting costs. My wife said, man, he's one of the most frugal guys out there.
That's a good quality, though. It
is. So like for example, like I bought these Rode pod mics. I bought them for like 50, couple at $60 New Zealand, but they're all used. I was like, when I got them, it was like, it looks new. No one's gonna know it's used. But
they know now.
Yeah, they know. they know now. The journey, man. Like, so the journey is just basically YouTube, trial and error, and Facebook groups. There's a couple of live streaming Facebook groups that I belong to, and I spend a lot of my time and just always looking what other people do. Always looking at what people do for their graphics and that sort of stuff. Just like I said, it's all about trying to be different, eh? Different stuff, you know. There's the guy that I follow, and I mentioned him a couple of times on here. His name is Chris Carson. Look him up. He owns a company called Steady Ready, and that's where I learnt my stuff. And he uses multiple platforms, and he's like what I said earlier, is it's just finding a platform or something that works for you. You know what I mean? Just like all these mobile companies. The reason, like we spoke earlier, the reason why I like Spark is because I'm a heavy Spotify user, and I've got all my playlists in there, and it's like, yeah, that's the only reason why I'm sticking with them. And also for the data and stuff, and the reliable mobile data. Yeah.
Have you always had? I know that when you mentioned that time when you got the news about your mum that you were coming back, were you filming? How long have you been doing this kind of recording? You know, were you back in the early VHS days, or were you just? Was it always been a passion for you?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. Like, nah, not really. So basically, my first the journey started when I owned my first iPhone, which is the iPhone 4. I think majority of us were all Nokias back in those days.
Yes.
Most young people don't know what a Nokia phone is, but yeah. So I owned a Nokia. Then I made the transition to going into the iPhone. So I bought the iPhone. I was one of those guys who said, well, you know, like these touchscreen phones are never gonna thing. So long story short, so that's pretty much when I started. When I got the iPhone, I actually just took videos of anything and everything. A couple of my friends, they don't like me because I've taken videos from them when they've been drunk, when we've been out in town, and I've stored that in the cloud, and they know I've got some dirty footage. So yeah, man. So I started doing videos from there, and I was like, I've always had a MacBook. And I was like, oh, iMovie, what's that? So I just like put it into there. So I started dabbling, going onto YouTube, just learning it. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Then the GoPro launched, and I got onto that. Then then what fascinated me about the iPhones and the GoPros was of their form factor. And I was like, man, if only you could do this. And then the live streaming came out. I wonder if you could connect this to the thing. And that's how I just learned. Yeah.
Man, that's awesome.
You know, with you're talking about how you're quite frugal with money in it.
Mm-hmm.
You was talking before how you were raised by a single parent.
Yeah.
Do you think it kind of comes from that, knowing that all those life lessons are because of being raised by your mum? Was that?
Yeah, I think you're 100% right there, eh? Because being raised up by a single mum. For me, in order for me to go on rugby trips, school trips, I had to go and work.
Yeah.
There's no ifs and buts, you know. I knew she had to work 2 jobs. She was a nurse and also was a cleaner. Cleaned in the morning, worked in the night as a nurse. She goes to sleep, make breakfast, repeat. That does the same thing to us. And it's like, yeah, that was the reason why I think I was frugal, because I just knew she didn't have money, and if she wanted. You know, and like I always felt bad when she gave me $10 or something for lunch or whatever. I just always worked when I was a young fella. I always had a part-time job. One of my first jobs was a paper run, central leader.
Oh,
$7 a week, mate. So.
Yeah. So give us a bit of a background. So where are you from originally, Ilse? You know, we're back at the 135. You know, so that's kind of a dead giveaway. We catch the 135 from Ranui into town, or sneak onto the bus and try and stay on as long as possible. What about you? So whereabouts are you from?
Raised up in Ohanga, 312. They don't call it 312 anymore. I think it's 305.
Was it because I split it, or just changing it up? Or?
No idea. Right? It was a bit of a big thing on Facebook. They did a bit of a petition and protest with just changing the numbers. I don't know why they should have just left the numbers, but yeah, man. Like I said earlier, born in Tonga, came over when I was really, really young. My grandma brought majority of us over, and I think I came over about 3 or 4. So I've been raised up here in Auckland, New Zealand. So always sort of lived in the Onehunga area. Wife's from Onehunga as well. So it's like, man, it's a dream come true. And just, always just been in the Onehunga area, central.
So which high school did you go to?
Onehunga.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's you know, the thing about being brought up around those ways was there anything that kind of stands out for you, like that kind of set you down that path? Because you went from school straight into building, or was that kind of like it seems like you picked up all these little things along your journey.
So actually, my first option was I wanted to become a cop. Bit of a curveball there, eh? So I actually wanted to become a cop. So I did some I don't know what job shadowing or work, experience with them. And I think the biggest thing what threw me off was, for me personally, I wouldn't be able to give my cousins a ticket.
Oh yeah.
Or if I saw a cousin and stuff, I seriously just wouldn't have the heart to arrest him, man. So it's like, okay, I wouldn't be a good cop. So it's like, okay, man, I'm going to go to the building. You know what I mean? So I did my apprenticeship around 2002, so I was actually in the first Māori Pacifica trade training in 2002. So all my schooling was paid for. So I did that, did my apprenticeship, the diploma, did my bachelor's as well, got my degree, done all that kind of stuff. And and just long story short, I kind of felt like burnt out doing the whole building. And it's and my boss, he's actually a Westie as well. My former boss, you might know of, Daniel Fuimana. And he gave me a call and, he'd been giving me a call multiple times because he was my mentor during my apprenticeship. And he goes, how's work, would you ever like to come and work at Unitech? And I go, nah, man, I want to come to that place. So every year, man. And the 1 year he rang me, I think it was 2007. He rang me, how's things, and he goes, would you ever come to work? And I go, yeah, man. And he goes, what? And I go, yeah, come here. You know, you are going to get a little bit of a pay cut. And he goes, yeah, no. For me, it's just I'm just feel a bit burnt out. And if I come and work here, it's 9 to 3, weekends off. You get big school holidays, and also you get the big Christmas breaks as well. And for me, it was just setting myself up for family. Don't have any kids at the moment, but it's just you just have more family time. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah.
So you were working as a project manager?
Yeah. So I worked for a small company called Build.com and for Fletcher's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Being working at Unitech, there would be a lot of Pacific Islanders coming through the program that you do, because I know I've got some family that have come through so it's the building course, is that the
yeah.
I've got one of my friends at work, his son's there at the moment, Ricardo. So do you see the difference? What's the success rate? And for you as someone, so are you like an actual tutor, or do you just oversee the work? Or
yeah, so my role here at Unitech is that I manage all the carpentry apprentices. So basically the first years come to us, so we manage them from the year 1 in apprenticeship to year 4.
Yeah.
So the success for Maori and Polynesians, man, it's I don't know what it is these days, man, these young kids, eh? So without sounding awful, I think there's just it's just they just need more guidance and need more mentoring, and it's with dabbling into mental health, it's you just don't know where they've come from, whether their upbringing was. I think we've all, from speaking for myself, I had it tough when I was young. You know what I mean? I didn't have that much stuff, funds or money, and I was just fortunate that I got a scholarship that helped me, and all I needed to do is get myself to uni to school. So there are a lot of kids out there that just need the extra push, and there's some multiple things, some of it is just without sounding bad, some of it I understand in the polyculture, money can be hard at sometimes, and the parents, and this happened to me. My mum said, "Why are you going to school? I want you to go and work." You know what I mean? And the majority of my family, sorry guys, but they work at this place, Unbetty's in Penrose. Have you heard of Unbetty's? They make the cream rice and the cream puddings. Yum, eh?
Yeah.
I'll hook you up, bro.
Yeah. I love that. Those are good for diets.
Yeah.
Cream rice.
But So they all work for there, and at that time in the year 2000, early 2000s, they're all getting 13, 14, 15 bucks an hour. Back then it was a lot of money.
Of course.
And at the time of my apprenticeship, man, I was getting $7.10 an hour. And it's just like, but for me, I was like, it's just trying to, for me, I saw myself, I sort of forecast myself as like, well, in this time, I will have my certificates and paper, and I'll be getting 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks an hour, whatever. And it's just like, I don't know where to go with this, but it's just, you have to grind it out, eh? And some of the younger generations or some of the parents, like, I know times is tough, but I have the saying, easy now, hard later, or hard now, easy later. So, go through the trenches right now, grind it out, because in 3 to 4 years' time, you'll be earning this whatever money, have this qualifications, and life will be a little bit easier. It's just, they just need mentoring. They need some good mentors.
Can you see the difference between, so you said you started there around 2007, 2008. Can you see the difference in the kids coming through then, the kids then?
Yeah, man.
Is it that stark?
It's black and white for me personally. It's black and white, and it's a whole range of factors. Number one, social media.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's just, the amount of time, that people say, "Oh, I don't have time." I was like, "Give me your phone," and I don't know. On Android, it doesn't have this function. I don't know, but on Apple, you have this function where we can go screen time, and you go, mate, you look at YouTube and look at the games, how many hours you're there. So everyone has time, man. It's managing your time, and it's just utilizing your time on what you can do. You know what I mean? Like for example, like you all have these guys. You had this, you had all those millionaires, whatever. They have the same 24 hours that we do, but it's just utilizing that time to make a difference. Like I personally, I'm not the smartest guy, but I'm really, really hardworking, and I failed heaps of papers. I had to redo them, and it's just like, unfortunately, my mum, my major goal was trying to get a house for my mum before she passed away, and but she got to saw the fruits of my labor, but unfortunately passed away before that happened. But I'm sure I'm not too sure what your parents, but I'm sure they might have migrated to here to New Zealand to give us a better opportunity. And I think some of the younger generations, they just maybe don't understand why our parents came here, is to give them a fighting chance to just better them. And I think if they knew that, and I think, like, for me, man, like, I was in bed, without trying to get too emotional, I was in bed, and my mum, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, she was walking out to go do her cleaning job, and I was still in bed. And I was like, man, stuff this, man. Like, shucks, she's grinding 2 jobs to do this for me. And like, I know some parents out there still doing the cleaning. I mean, like, I don't want to stereotype us as the cleaning thing, but I've helped my mum clean toilets and stuff. I helped her, and it's just like, gosh, man, shucks. And for me, that was my driving force. And I think some of these Polynesian is like, without sounding harsh, go spend some time doing what your parents do. Like, I don't know about you guys. Like, have you heard Lau Mape's story? He wasn't he doesn't like asparagus because he went and picked asparagus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've done,
because he's bought. Was he brought up in Hastings around that?
Something like that. Yeah.
Of course, that's where all the veggies and fruit are all.
Yeah. I cringe, man. Like, honestly, like, I love our people, and I wish I can make a difference, and I'm sure you guys are making a difference. But when I'm always with my work, like, a couple of times, so when I drive down south to head to Hamilton or whatever, and I see our people picking onions and doing that, I was like, man, shucks, bro. And it's usually the parents or the thing. But for kids that are listening, man, like, just make your parents proud somehow. You know what I mean?
That's a mean story. And you're the second person in a row that we've had that's talked about utilizing those 24 hours. We had Aaron on last week, and he's a financial advisor kind of. Yeah. He does mortgage brokering and that kind of stuff in that. And he said exactly the same thing as you. It was like, we've all been given the same 24 hours. It depends on how you use it. And his story is a lot similar too, because his turning point for him was he was a student, and he went to, was it Burger King with
Burger
his
King.
boys? And he only had $8 on his card. He was a student down at Waikato University, and in his mind, he said at that point, he said, when my kids go to the shops, or if they go to anywhere, I don't ever want them to think this is all I've got. I'm going to have to utilize that.
I had that similar experience there. Like for me personally, like when I go to when my mum was around, we go to shops and stuff, and like, man, I wanted to buy chocolate, but I wasn't going to ask. I didn't want to make her feel bad. You know what I mean? And like for me personally, it's like, man, I don't want to ever feel that way. Like we've all been there, like at the warehouse or something, and we're lining up, and the kids go, I want a lolly, and the mum, whatever, I don't have any money and stuff. It's like, oh man, it's like, yeah. But talking about the finances, like I can remember when I was a student, man, I was eating rice and corned beef. You know what I mean? Like half a can, not a full can, just half a can, or tuna and rice, and I had like kids, like some of my students, same class, earning the same wage, and like buying chips and stuff, but I think it's just like you said, I think it was just me being frugal. Like I was like, man, like I don't have that money to splurge. But yeah, I just have rice, and even up to now, man, like I still like really buy my lunches. I rather use that money and buy equipment or tech or utilize that money and inject that into something else instead of I'll have the odd spurs on food or whatever, but mainly it's just I'm always frugal, still making my lunches. One funny thing, like these young kids say, oh man, they're having lunch, and mate, so I went today to do a site visit down south, and this guy had smoko. He had 2 pies, a roll, a big drink, like those 1.5 drinks. Like I didn't have money. I was like, mate, you can go buy those drinks at Pack and Save for 99 cents. You know what I mean? You can still have those lunches, but there's other ways. And I don't have time. I was like,
It's amazing how the amount of people say that I don't have time, but you've got enough time to have a screen in front of your face where you scroll up and down. The other thing, how Aaron said, and you're talking about being cautious with money. Do you think that with the youth of today, there might be a case of, because us as parents, or people as parents, they try and give their kids what they didn't have, so they kind of end up spoiling it, so the kid kind of takes for granted, like this, because it comes so easy for me.
Yeah, there is and part of it's like, excuse me, in answering your question, yes, and part of it's just like social media. People want to post up, oh man, like for me, like I don't know, like right now in my life, there's not really much things that sort of like wow me. I mean, like for example, like it's gonna take a lot, like I do mix around with some sports stars and stuff, but back in my younger time, I'll go, whoa, Richie Mook, it's like, and I was like, oh cool, man, sweet. And I was like, Mark goes, oh, that's so and so. I said, oh yeah, yeah, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, I think it's just social media. People like for me, it's like, oh, you're posting up something breakfast. It's only bacon in get paid. Okay, but yeah, it's just. Sorry, I'm gonna go way off topic. Have you guys watched The Social Dilemma?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just.
So what do you think about that?
Man, I watched it a couple of times now, and as I mentioned, like now I'm sort of delving into the mental health space. Yeah, man, some of it makes sense, and to see some of those engineers tremble, and they look kind of like, man, is this what I designed? So it's interesting. It is very interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting, especially the psychology of it all.
Yeah, it is.
It's freaky to hear them say, the platforms aren't competing with each other.
Mm-hmm.
The platforms are competing with you.
Mm-hmm.
Like you are the product, not the what they're trying to sell.
And it's strange. Like I did a podcast with Ty from the I Am Hope charity, and we talked about the algorithms and that sort of stuff. And like a couple of months ago, I was like searching a case for my iPad. Then when I was browsing stuff, so I was searching Google and stuff. And when I was browsing stuff, the stuff.co.nz website, all of a sudden you see the actual case pop up. I was like, oh, that's the same case.
Yeah.
And it's the
Yeah.
algorithms, man. It's just freaky. It's really, really freaky.
It's funny because me and the boys, me and my friend Henry were talking at work, and like we kind of like have it as a running joke. We kind of like mutter and like, oh, what about like you're saying, like what about a iPad phone cover?
Mm-hmm.
And then we just talk, and he's like, we guarantee like when you start typing something in, it pops up at the at the bottom of your screen, and he's like, the phone's your phone's listening to you, man. I'm like, as much as we kind of laughed, but then it kept happening, and we're like, no, actually I think I think Apple have kind of confirmed that they do follow that kind of stuff. It's funny. It kind of highlights how the downside, because you utilize the internet, with your live streams and that, but the internet also shows you that social dilemma also shows you the downside
Yeah.
of social media and that kind of stuff. How do you think they should go about policing it? Is there kind of like because you can't have both,
I think the hardest thing is the parents, because the parents,
I was going to touch on that.
because at home it's easy for the parents to take the devices away from the kids, but you got to compete with all the other kids at school.
Yeah.
They have the devices, so you don't want to be the only kid at school, and all your friends have devices, and you're not allowed to have it. It's like, it's like a big deal.
Well, I know my brother. I know he purposely has told his kids that they're not allowed to use. I mean, they can use the iPad and all that at home or like the computers, but I still don't think he's given them a cell phone and all that kind of stuff. So I guess that's where that's a good step towards it. Or
Yeah, I think what you said, Cam, right, spot on, man. Is up to the parents to decide that, and just give them some ground rules on when to give phones. I don't have any kids, so I'll cross that road when I get there.
Or even the schools should no phones.
Yeah.
well, you'd expect that, but I mean, you probably get some parent bring in some privileged kid who says, I need my phone because if I have a medical event or something like that, I need to have the phone on you.
And it's also tough these days, for our generations. It's amazing, Like, when I had a group of friends back in Onehunga, and we lived in this dead end street, and every night we said, what time are we going to meet up? We're going to meet up here at such and such street. And there's no texting, and we all met up at that time.
Yeah.
But like this day and age, like it is kind of a crossroads and tough, because sometimes parents, the only way they can communicate is via phones, and sometimes schools, like I know in the high end schools, like you need to have a phone, you need to have an iPad. It's no stationary anymore, so it is quite tough. And you just, I don't know, man. I don't have a magic bullet to how to police this, but I think it just comes down to the parents and having the core values at home, and saying the reasons why you don't have a phone and why you don't need a phone. Because seriously, you probably don't need a phone. We've done it in our generation. I know it's different, but yeah, talking about phones, back in the day you had those big bricks, but man, compared to now.
I remember it was probably a year before we started the podcast. I actually got off social media because I was sort of at a time when I was sick of seeing all the stuff on social media. And back then I was I'm a generally private kind of person, so I didn't really post up stuff and things like that, and I didn't like all the stuff that I saw on my Facebook feed was like people posting up a lot of personal stuff, even arguments and that. Like they have arguments, and you just read it and just crack up. But at the same time, you think, man, why would I want to read this, waste my time and attention-seeking sort of things? And that's what I thought. So it got to the point where I just stuff it on getting off social media. So I actually turned off everything, and I just deleted all the apps, all the platforms I had.
How do you find that, bro?
I thought it was good.
Bit of a detox.
Yeah, it was a bit of a detox, but it was good at the same time because, like, you could talk more, and you notice other people not socializing, just on their phones all the time. You just notice that, and then we started the podcast, and then I had to go back on social media.
Yeah, it is a tough thing. Like, sorry to cut you off. Like, the only time I use social media, I don't really use it for browsing and thing. It's mainly for my business and just to communicate with family and friends.
Exactly.
So I don't really like negative stuff.
Yeah. So it was funny because when I started the podcast, I sort of had to go back on social media, so I had to turn on my account again, but then just use it to just promote the podcast. So if I just focused on that, then they'll be okay. I just don't worry about the rest of the things.
Yeah, I think everything in moderation is good.
Yeah.
Food, alcohol. I mean, I don't know about what people have views on that, but for me personally, like anything in moderation is the thing. Apart from for me personally, hardcore drugs and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think in general, like, social media has there's good and bad things in everything, mate. I personally believe, but it's just got to monitor it, I think.
It's you're right. There is good and bad things, and unfortunately, as human beings, I've said this all the time. Like, social media has come into our lives as human beings, and from the moment this internet started and social media took off, like, we didn't really know how to do it. We didn't really understand what it would do. We're just going off the flow with it, and then now we're just realizing what the negative side of things. With what you see on that program, Social Dilemma, what the algorithms are supposed to be doing, stuff like that.
I'm always a huge believer in being solution orientated. I think as a builder, most people think builders just go in now and cut wood and stuff, but I think that's the trait I got from building is just being solution orientated. They're always trying to find a solution, and I think in this day and age, and I always tell this to my wife, is like, instead of spending your energy on what's happened and what's gone wrong, trying to channel the energy and say, okay, what can I do? What can I do in this situation? The situation we're in, what can we do? Or what kind of processes can we do to get out of this or try and be better? Because, yeah, man, like, you could be short on money, and you see some people just go and hustle, do fundraising and that sort of stuff, and there's solutions. But in life, if you're listening, there are other solutions to whatever trials and things that you can go through. There's people out there that you can reach.
The problems of our kids, we sort of touched on it with the example of the kids that come through Unitech, and you sort of gave social media as like the main sort of culprit, so to speak. But we talk about, like, we can't just solve the problem. Like, we might have to not change it, but go with it and see if we can find a solution in that new environment. With the kids these days, like, how would we do that? If you know what I mean. Like, how would we have to succumb to what they're into and find a solution in their world now? Yeah,
so I think without getting into depth about it, I think mental health is a huge thing this day and age, and just especially in I can remember having this podcast with Ty and with us Polys, and I think the biggest thing about the Polynesians, I think we're too proud to say we've got a problem. Man, Tongans, mate, we're one of the most biggest, proudest people out there, eh? And like, it's okay to, I can't remember what the word that he used, but it's okay to just say, man, I just need help. I'm stressed out or whatever, but the flip side is to it, and I'm the worst. I'll put up the hand. Normally, when people go, oh man, I'm just like, I'm struggling, and I harden up, bro. Gosh, harden up. But that's back in the day. I think we're in a gen now that we need to be more reactive. And one of the things that one of the guys that I had a chat to is have this thing called active listening. And active listening is really listening at what does he really, really need. And just like, instead of like bashing him and thrashing him, just say, bro, I'm here for you. Whatever you need, whatever it is. And just, I think just showing love to these young kids, like, it is difficult. Like, with we're all poly here, and it is really difficult to know what their family circumstances are, what their financial circumstances are. Are they getting abused at home? Are they getting, just not any support? They don't get any friends, or are they involved with gangs or that sort of stuff? So once when you really just have to, be a good diagnostics, or trying to figure out how can we help find out the issue or the problem, and that's when we can start to say, okay, man, this is what you need, and we can sort of help them out in the area. I know I didn't really answer your question, but it is tricky. It is very, very tricky. And especially, I'm not going to pinpoint it on social media, because kids these days, they don't really like to talk face to face. They want to just do your texting and that sort of stuff, you know. And I think I see it now with the interviews when I place them into work. They just rather do the email. But some of these old school builders, they want to chat to them face to face, and some of them crumble. They're just they're just lacking this face to face experience.
I think some of the turning points for certain people, if they're like, if certain people are like down at their lowest point of their lives, like sometimes this is like a turning point, and the turning point might be experience like Aaron's experience of having $7 in his bank account, or your experience of your mum. Sometimes it's certain amount of adversity we have to face to realize that, you know, we have to get up. Is that all saying, like, if you're down in the dumps, the only way is up? And sometimes you won't realize that until you are down in the dumps, sort of thing. And do you think with social media, like, it's catering to not letting kids these days go there? Like, it's sort of softening them up. It's not really making them feel like they need sort of like a push.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
You know,
I totally agree with you.
You know what I
totally
mean?
agree with you. It's just a quick fix solution, or a band-aid solution, and it's not a long-term solution where they can come out and like, oh yeah, you just do this for now and it'll just be okay for whatever X amount of time. But it's not like a long-term solution. It's just, I don't know. It is tough these days. Like, I know through my years of living here on this planet, like, I've had some tough times and just had to grind it out and figure out as we go. And I
think that's what they lose. They lose that figuring out.
Yeah, it's because initiative.
Because they sort of don't get to that hard place, you know? I think you need to get to a hard place for you to realize for yourself that, shit, I need to get out of this. I need to do something about it.
Yeah.
But if you're not getting there and you're just relaxed with what the world gives you, then you're never going to do anything about anything. You'll just stay where you are.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Yeah, you know, and like I said earlier, like sometimes I always try and flip a problem out. It's like, man, okay, what can I learn from this? You know, how can I better myself from, like, for example, when my internet's rubbish, what could I've done better to prevent this? Because at the end of the day, every situation for me personally, you've could have prevented it somehow. You know, whether it's mental health or whether it's getting into debt, or whether your car crashes or whatever. I mean, car crash probably not a good example, but, you know, putting on weight, whatever. It doesn't happen overnight. It eventually takes time for you to get to that place. So it's just figuring out, okay, what could have I done better, instead of just dwelling on, oh man, I'm in a bad place. What can I do to get out of it? There's a quote I shared with my wife. You know, storms come to wipe out a place, but sometimes storms help clear the pathway for the way to get to where we're going.
I
love that.
I like that.
And you know, sometimes I just feel like, okay, you know, life might be rubbish or you're in a bad place, but maybe the Lord may be just providing a better way or a better pathway for you to go in other places, you know. And as we all know, you know, sometimes doors close, but sometimes they're closed for a reason. You know what I mean? So, you know, sometimes like I get gigs that I get super excited and I put in a quote and stuff and I don't get it. And I get bummed. I was like, man, I wish I did that. But then I was like, oh, maybe there's a reason. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'll just try and look on the positive.
You know, because of your work that you're doing with, you know, you've got all your cameras, you're uploading it, you've got your streaming it. Have you ever thought about getting into the other side of maybe doing music videos or doing TV programs, or, something along those lines? Have you
Yeah.
about getting to that side of the
Yeah,
media?
yeah,
I mean, just, I
yeah.
mean,
So for the model that I'm currently doing at the moment, I think it's just building my brand and building my reputation with the live streaming, with the events and stuff. So my next phase is basically right now. My next phase is corporate. Because corporate's a little bit more money and they understand the value of live streaming and that sort of stuff. And then they have big budgets as well, so that's good for me.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm delving at the moment. So at the moment, I've been very fortunate to do some work with Steady Kickboxing, Glosier Boxing. Now I'm just getting involved with, you've probably seen it, the advertising in on Facebook, the IT heavy hitters.
Yep.
So I'm in negotiation with them to do the recording or do the live streaming for them. And also just recently, I've just been doing a series of podcasts with Snap Fitness. So that's how I got involved with Ty and Mike and all those guys. So it's just trying to delve in that way and making, just looking for other ways to basically have other revenue streams of income, not just relying on just my live streaming. Because like the weddings and stuff, that's great, but it's just like, a whole day, money's good and that sort of stuff. But having a setup like this podcast, I don't have the space at home, but at the moment I go to them and when we do our interviews and that sort of stuff. So yeah, podcasts and hopefully getting into maybe TV shows and music videos or whatever. Yeah.
How you said you eventually, because you want it to grow in that, would you be able to say, would you be able to hire other people? Say you get multiple gigs in it, would you be able to step away and let someone else go do it?
That's the plan,
Yeah.
But it's more difficult than it sounds.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because it's you got to be quite techy. My wife is like my wife, like for example, like my wife, she runs an event business. So basically it's just labor and manpower. So basically you just need people to put chair covers, need people to place, and if something goes wrong, like I keep telling you, something goes wrong, that's fine. We just run home or whatever and we grab whatever thing. With the tech, if something goes, if internet goes down, you just need to be a problem solver. You know what I mean? So yeah, so that's the next phase of my business for next year, is looking at training up a couple of cousins and getting another kit for them. So it's just to cover more ground, but it's just got to do it right. You know what I mean? Like I keep on telling my wife, like you do amazing work, but all it takes is one terrible job and one and with social media these days, one person can go, this person's terrible, he's useless, blah 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 blah, and it's like, mate, all that years or whatever that you've built your brand or your logo or whatever just goes down the drain. So yeah, man, there's stuff, like I tell people in the live streaming, man, there's like, mate, I might have internet issues or whatever, but the worst case scenario, you will get a recording from it. So I always plan for the worst. But yeah, man, that's one of the next phases.
That sucks, like the case that you've brought up your you've brought up your brand, and you've put in all this hard labor. And all it takes is one person. It probably, and they're probably in the wrong anyway, to put up a bad. Because I saw something similar last year about some wedding planning, and I just saw the person.
I think I know the person you're talking about, but we won't say names. But yeah.
Yeah, and they were going back and forth. The person, they didn't do this. No, I probably, you said you were going to do that, and I just thought how ugly it can get. And then you go look at the person's previous work, and you thought, oh no, I can see why these people would have hired them. And I mean that's just that's sad that people always. It's funny way people always want to take sides, or they choose to. Are you weary of that ever happening to you? Or how do you think you'll handle that
Bad clients.
Hey?
Bad clients. Having a bad client.
Yeah, I mean, just bad review. I mean, just.
But yeah, let's be honest, man. There are, without naming it, I mean, there are. I've been very fortunate that I haven't had any bad clients. However, there have been some clients that have been challenging to work with. You know what I mean? I honestly haven't had a nightmare client, and what it comes down to is basically just planning, preparation, and also good old fashioned talking like this, just meeting up with them.
Yeah.
I got a meeting with a wedding that I've booked in for next year on the 16th. We're meeting up on Thursday in the evening. You know what I mean? Personally, don't really need to meet up for a live stream, but they want to meet up. So they want to ask some questions, and that's fine, man. It's just like nothing like good old fashioned like this and good old fashioned just communicating. And it's tough because like at the end of the day, I don't know that situation, but I think I know of the people you've been talking about or that thing. But communicating via messaging or email, you generally can't get your emotions across or have this conversations like this, because you might say, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. But if you had this conversation like this, then you can actually feel the emotion or the voice that's been pushed. Yeah, so I think just basically, so what I try and do is for me personally, so I try and streamline. I think this is just my project management background, is I try and, because I'm limited in time, I try and be as efficient as possible. So I have an online form. So if you jump onto my Facebook page and just those automated responses. Oh, where are you located? What services you offer? And it just pops up like that. Also, I have a link to an online form, and basically it just saves me asking, what time's your service? What time's the address? They just fill all that in. I get it back, and I try and I generally send them a text the following morning, or I give them a phone call and says, hey man, how's things? Welcome. My name's Leni from Lopstream. We're grateful, and we'll have a quote for you in the next 24 to 48 hours. Yeah.
Not 50-50 on those things, eh?
On the online,
the ones that come up, the automated checkout things. Because I think it's just a robot. I don't want to talk to a robot.
Yeah. But with the clients that my wife have been getting right now, they're actually, man, like this couple that I'm doing the wedding is the first time I met them yesterday. And we've been communicating, and they found me online, you know what I mean? So in this digital age, I think for me personally, it has a place for it, but not everyone is accustomed to it as well. Yeah.
I was going to say, if you told us you had a better client, I would have been pissed off, because I could imagine, they hired you to do a job. I wouldn't expect them to tell me what to do at the event,
Yeah.
Oh, can you do this? Can you do that?
Yeah.
Hang on. Can you let me do my job?
Yeah. I mean, I do get are you getting this angle? Yeah, we'll get it covered. We'll get it covered for you. So, yeah, we try our best. At the end of the day, you are going to have that one or two people is not going to be happy. I think DJ's got one of the hardest jobs, though. No matter what music you're going to play, you're not going to satisfy the 300 people in the wedding. Really, man. It's yeah.
I don't think we've touched on it. How did you get the name of the company? I was like, okay,
Lopstream. So funny things, eh? So I had quite a few friends, and I was driving to Mangere. I don't know what I was driving for, and and we were texting, or we were using WhatsApp, and I was doing LOL, blah blah blah, and it's just like the auto thing just came up blop. I was like, why are you freaking saying it? Then me and my friends, we always wanted to, if we started a media company, we were going to call it Lopstream. And they had nothing behind it, and we just thought it was quite catchy. Yeah. We also went into the World Cup, and we started promoting. We said Lop is coming, and people go, oh, what's Lop? It's coming, man, it's coming. And it was just quite catchy. For me, it was just quite catchy. And my wife, what does Lop mean? It doesn't really have no meaning. People might think it's like Leni on P or something. And I was like, seriously, it doesn't really have a meaning. And my take about it is I think it's, for me, I don't know, quite catchy. The reason why I went for the green, because I think it just stands out a bit more. I don't want to go for red because people might think I'm Mate Donga or something like that. Just for me, it's just trying to be different. So Lopstream, Lopstream live streaming services, and man, registered company 2 years ago, all legit, GST and that sort of stuff, and still chipping away, still learning. Man.
It is a catchy name, Lopstream.
Yeah.
Rolls off the tongue nicely.
If the logistically between the boxing and the weddings, because you've done a few boxing events, I don't know if you want to say, but which ones do you
boxing
enjoy?
Man, sports.
Oh, okay.
Sports, bro.
Yeah.
So I did a 5-hour boxing event.
Yeah,
mate.
Just flew?
seemed like an hour.
Yeah.
You know, seemed like an hour. And my main cameraman, Cedric, he said, I would have done this for free.
I can't remember that.
I would have done this free. But for me, man, I pay my guys, bro. I pay my guys. And I paid them well. You know what I mean? So, especially if they're giving me a quality service and a quality thing. But then, like I said, like for me, I mean, I think in any business, it's not something I recommend, but you have to spend money to make money. Sometimes if you can't spend money for the model that I use, because I emulate the model that Chris Carson uses. When he first started, he did some live gigs and stuff. So, like I said, I did some free stuff for CKB, for other people, just to get my name out there. And for me, it's like, this is not really free. This is my marketing budget. You know what I mean? And the same thing I did in Manhattan. You know, I did a couple of Manhattan, and I got a few gigs out of that. You know what I mean? So, but in answer to your question, for me personally, I want to get into sports. I got a meeting. I got a meeting with the Ponsonby Ponies. I'm an ex-player for Ponsonby. I know maybe a few haters out here in the West. So,
you know, I've got a few boys that have played for the Ponies. So there's a strong connection with Ponsonby. So
so I've got
Ponsonby custom.
So I got to catch up with the director. We used to play together as well, so he doesn't know. I want to be asking for a sponsorship or something like that, something I can help. I want to get back to the club. But also, reason why I want to live stream the games is because I know they've got a massive following. You know what I mean? So if there's anything I can help. But man, I want to get into the sports. I think I have an opportunity to catch up. I got a guy called Melvin. He's running the Uali Sevens. So he approached me not too long ago to maybe work with him. Samoan guy. He's taken over that. So excited to sports, man. I'd rather do sports.
You know how you're talking about sports and you're doing your live streaming and that. Would you bring in your own? Would it get to a point where you'd have your own commentary team, or you'd have your own kind of playing kind of guys?
You know what the funny thing is?
You asked me at the basketball.
I asked Clem, but I know we were busy. So yeah, man. I actually love doing commentary.
Yeah.
I've done a few rugby commentaries, and I'm not I love basketball, but I'm not a basketball commentary. I rather just do rugby commentary. But that's kind of like my background, rugby. But yeah, man, so my setup, we can plug in commentaries, 2 guys with headsets and do commentary, full-on commentary. We didn't do that in the last boxing event because it was just this real short on time. They didn't find anyone, but you can do commentary, man. I think commentary does add another dimension instead of just having the camera just following the guy. I did I think one of my best. I wouldn't say my best commentary, but man, I was so into it. If you go back to my live stream page, and I did the Samoa Cup. I think it was early this year, and we had a team from Samoa versus a team from here, and it was the final. And I think it had about, close to 500 viewers all the way. When I looked at the analytics, had Samoa, blah blah blah. Man, it was so much intense game, eh? So, like I said, I was the commentator and cameraman at the same time. But man, it was so amped. It was so amped. But yeah, I love to do commentary.
Oh man, that's mean.
I think there might be a market with club rugby opening up, because I remember last year we had a podcast with one of the guys I went to school with. He's the manager of What I Met the Rugby, Nigel Chang. He was talking about wanting to do some
I know Nigel.
Streaming.
He actually approached me at Manhattan one time.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, because he talked about it on the podcast. He wanted to do some live streaming of the games. Yeah. So,
do you think that's probably how they're going to go about it? Each club, I mean, because you can't really, club rugby. They're saying, because you've had a lot of teams start to merge. I think there was
Grammar Tech and the Eastern Suburbs.
So all these teams. Do you think each club should do that? Should go, look, let's be proactive. Let's stream our games. Reach out to all the guys, ex-players that are playing overseas and that, and or the people that can't make it out down to Waitemata Park. Let's offer that option.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, for me as a business, yeah.
Yes.
But as you know, there's nothing like being there live, You cannot replace that, And also for clubs, you want to have people coming into the clubs as well. You want to have people coming into the club rooms and mixing and mingle with the players. But, you're going to have that odd time that you may not be able to, or you can live stream, and people who might have something else on the day, they can watch it in their own time. So yes, there is, but I think there's a place for it and a time for it as well, because you still want people to come in, you know what I mean? And yeah, man. So
I don't know how viable it is for your business, but even with club rugby, like you're live streaming to England and Europe, potential
ex-players and that sort of stuff,
and scouts will be watching it too, so they want to check out the scene, especially New Zealand. I mean, you know, where all the best rugby players come from.
Exactly.
Like, you know, that type of thing would be good for overseas streaming.
I guess they should be trying to. Where would the money come from? You know, like monetizing that kind of. Because it could be. Would it be just from advertising then for you?
Yeah. So basically, a model I would propose to like club rugby is get your sponsors to pay for it. So basically, with my live streaming platform, I can run ads in between, so I can actually just run full ads. Yeah. So I actually just download the clip, and I just, when half time or little thing, I just 10-second ad, 15-second ad, so promote. I can put their logo on there as well. So it's actually, they do get a bang for buck. You know what I mean? So, and most companies that know about advertising, you know, like for example, let's say Ponsonby Rugby, they'll have a huge following, they'll have huge viewers, blah 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 blah, and you know, all these main sponsors that if they want airtime, that, you know, get them to pay for the live stream. It's just basically like Mana 10 Cup and that sort of stuff. Same thing, same model. You know, they want airtime, they got rights to call it the Mana 10 Cup, whatever, and they get to pay for it. So,
man, it's just crazy the kind of how far you can take this. It's funny because Cameron always says, "Oh man, I can't wait to, you know, quit my daytime job and start doing this full time, you know, the network kind of stuff." And is that the end game? Is that the end game for you?
That's the end game for me. You know what I mean? That's the end game for me. I haven't set a goal date. I've had little dates that I haven't chatted to my wife about it. I'm not going to tell you because I haven't told her first. But you know, like, you know, and I know my wife will be really, really supportive. Like, you know what I mean? Like, majority of people who do side hustles, I think that's what they generally want to do. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's not about the money, it's what you enjoy. You know, if we got paid millions and millions of dollars to do what we enjoy doing, we'll do it in a heartbeat, you know? Or I don't think millions and millions of dollars in general, just getting paid enough to support you and your family and you be happy, I think we'll be happy to do that. You know what I mean? So, yeah man. And like, you know, like when I met Cam, I was like, oh, he goes, oh, there's podcasts, you know, like I jumped on straight away, and I was listening to him and Lappy Mariner. I was like, whoa, this guy. And I was like, when he approached me to podcast, I was like, oh yeah, man, I'll be keen, bro. I didn't even think I'll get the text, but then I was like, why does this guy want me to jump on, man? I was like, I'm like a nobody. It's like, you got all these like guys, like, whoa, shucks, he's like interview these guys, it's like wolves. But man, I really, really intrigued, man, and really impressed by your setup. And hopefully one day I get kind of like a little studio. But at the end of the day, man, like for people who are watching or listening, you do have to start somewhere. And no one understands or no one sees your grind on how you've set this up. You know, no one sees your, like, you know, we've all had errors. No one sees your errors. No one sees your, I'm not trying to down you, but no one's seen you stuff up and messing with the audio and that sort of stuff, you know. So, and I was sitting here like, and I was, you know, earlier before starting, I was like, oh man, it was awesome just to sit here and let you guys figure out the mics and figure out the audio. I was like, oh.
Yeah, so you're still figuring things out.
Yeah, I know.
Even now.
I know. But it's business though, bro. Like, you know, all people see is your success. They don't see the grind that you put in. They don't see the time that you put in to organize this podcast, and then after this you got to upload, and after this you got to cut it, and you know, that's time away from your family, and that's time, you know. And it, like for me, like I feel honored, and you know, this is time away from my wife and my stuff that I need to do and stuff. But you know, for me, like I just like, man, I feel really, really honored to be here, man. Really, really appreciate it.
I was honored to have you here too, man. You know, with your work and stuff, like, do you see something really big happening in the future for what you can actually do? Because right now I'm thinking, like, you know, you can pretty much do everything TV won't go to, that mainstream TV won't do. You know, all these events around in the community, all these little sporting events, all these little charity events, all these little whatever events, anything, TV won't even touch, but you can do it.
Yeah,
You know?
I think the biggest thing with live streamers, or if this is something you want to dab into, is you can do this in a fraction of the cost of one of these TV productions. You know those vans that you see normally, you're looking at 1.5 mil minimum for those vans for a setup. And the gear that I've got probably less than, I haven't really easy less than 3K, easy, and it's all used stuff. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's right. See, and that's what I mean. See, you stuff. You know, we it's just like our podcast and just like your live streaming. The platforms that we use are in the same space.
Yeah, like Anchor. You know, remember I chatted to you guys. Oh, what do you use? You use Anchor?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's something I'm looking into as well.
Yeah, but our platforms are in the same space as mainstream. You know, everyone in the world can access it.
Yep.
Like, if you do your lives, like I'm thinking, like, would you have like your own live stream YouTube channel where all your lives go to, so the world can see it?
Yeah, I do have a YouTube channel. It's not very active at the moment because my main platform is the Facebook page, and yes, and I've just recently learned how to use Instagram. Reason why I like Instagram is because like all the all the music and stuff, like in Facebook, like when I did my boxing events and I uploaded the stuff and the videos, it just doesn't play the music, you'll mute it. Where on Instagram, on the IG stories and stuff and the videos, it just plays for some reason. So yeah, but it's with these so many platforms, it's just that's a huge learning curve. The next platform I'm learning to use, which I've signed up, is actually LinkedIn. I follow a guy called Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if you heard of him.
Gary V.
Gary V.
Yeah.
And he says it's probably one of the best places to post your stuff because I can't remember what he said, which is the next big thing.
Is there a fear of, because it seems like, because you'll be undercutting all these big TV, all these studios, the Skies of the world, TVNZ and that. Do you think there's going to be a point where they're going to put pressure on these streaming services or the Facebooks of the world and say, look, you need to start charging these people because they're stealing our business? Do you have that? Do you think they're going to try and pull that eventually?
I'm not too sure, I'm not too sure, but but the biggest things about Sky Sport and Spark Sport stuff, that they've got these major sponsors behind them. Yeah, man. Like for me, that boxing event I done, I don't know, they had someone else, but then there's like, I didn't go to undercut. It was just my price. You know what I mean? And yes, I probably would have done a small fraction onto what those guys would have charged. But there are some new stuff coming up, like Facebook. They're going to have like I know it's launching in the States, but it's not launched here in New Zealand. But they've got this thing where you can have paid online events. You know what I mean? So basically, in order for you to, it's like pay-per-view basically.
Yeah.
So in order for you to do that, so Sky's, not Sky, like Facebook's, that's what they're going to do. But yeah, there is competition, man. But I think that the biggest thing, like a couple of guys that I mentioned earlier, these guys that they do live streaming, is they are actually, without going into prices, they're actually still way more expensive than me. And they only do one angle. But it's providing more value for your buck. A good friend of mine, we used to, Ben Artinga, we always go to the pub. We always go, not pub, I don't drink, but, and goes, why do you come to this bar? It was called Lime Bar back then on Ponsonby. Why do you come to this bar, man? It's just like $2 extra. And he goes, mate, I'll rather pay an extra $1 or $2 for great service.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of like my motto, and I tell my wife, like, like if you go to a place and you get great service and you enjoy the stuff, I'm sure you wouldn't mind paying it in an extra $1 or $2. So, and for me personally in my business, it's just, how can I provide great value for my client?
Yeah.
Lime Bar is one of my favorite bars in Auckland.
Lime, is it still around?
Yeah, it's still around. Yeah.
Small, I like, bro. It's
Yeah,
just
like
like,
I
I've been
love
there
the
in
music.
ages, man.
I love the music.
Oh yeah, the music's great, man. The music's great. Yeah.
It's good. It's a good little bar to sit down and have a beer, talk to the bartender. You don't get much of that around Auckland anymore. There's no seats at bars anymore.
Yeah.
If you notice.
Yeah.
It's crazy because when we were talking to Aaron, and he just kept saying his other thing is, what's your point of difference? You know, and just listening to yours, your one is quality, and you're utilizing everything that you've got possible compared to not having the most, instead of going and forking out money for the most expensive gear. It seems like your point of difference is being personal, or just actually getting to know the clients.
Yeah.
You know? 'Cause I feel like I'm invited to the wedding on Saturday. You know, I was going to ask you, can you send me the link? Because I don't know.
I'll send you the link, man. I'll send you the link.
I don't know these two, but I really want to see. What's your name?
Janice and Tarek.
Yeah,
they got an amazing story, man. Like one's from Jamaica and one's from Samoa, and like wait till you see the video. Eh? Like man, like. We shot this video in the botanical gardens, and it was raining. And like, man, if you know me, man, I'm like, I come out. My wife will say that I come up with all these wacky ideas, but it's like it's all about how can you be different? How can you throw a curveball into a live stream or thing? And there was this like, this is the first. I haven't been to Manukau Botanical Gardens in a long time, and they had this. It was pouring down, so we had to wait for a little while, and there was this boat. And this is like a boat that rocks. I mean, it's not in water. But there was this boat, and they had those tent things over it. And it's like, would you guys mind us plonking the chairs in the boat, and we'll do your little interview? And he goes, yeah, man. And they had a blast, and like, poor Janice, she was in tears, like sharing her story and some of her sisters, and they couldn't make it. But man, we had a blast, man. Like we'll talk about 30 minutes, and yeah, man, and because he was iPhone and I was iPad, so I just airdropped them the footage so they can look at it, and they enjoyed it. So yeah.
So I actually did the interview at the wedding.
No. This is the interview. So we did it's like a get to know you interview.
Oh, yeah.
And at the Manukau Botanical Garden. So basically, so my strategy is at the reception. So the reception, I think the reception starts at 4. They're going to be there at 4, but so they're going to go do photos and stuff. So about 45 minutes prior for them coming in, I'm going to play the pre-recorded video. So it's like a slideshow, and then it's them doing their interview.
Yeah.
Then also just the testimonial. So today they Dropboxed about 5 videos of their pastor from Miami, Florida, and Tarek had one of his boys' dance crew did a dance thing recorded. Tarek's sister from Jamaica dropped his thing, and I think Janice's sister from Sydney dropped in a video. So just to make them feel part of it.
Utilizing that's great advertising. It's going to be great advertising for you, because we've all been to that wedding where we wait for the photos, and that's where everyone starts getting a bit restless, and you're sitting at your table like, man, can these guys just hurry up? Where have they gone? So where have they gone? They've gone to Hamilton or something. And you've got that little. Did you come up with that, or was that your own idea, or
to say it's just been different, bro? It's just been different. It's been different. You know what I mean? So other live streamers they don't do that. I don't think their platform allows them to do that.
Yeah.
But it's just being different, and just adding more value for the same amount of money that they'll probably get from somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah.
How much time do you look into your competition? Because it sounds like
not a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, you have to wait.
You have to.
Just got to be real.
Yeah. My wife will give me a lot of criticism, and like it's tough, man. Like I was like, man, are you being honest? And like I can see the defects. Like, I'm real hard on myself. It's all about bettering yourself. Like their camera quality, like so with my setup, there are downsides. So the huge downside is I only can zoom in so much before I lose in the quality. With these other guys set up, because they've got these bigger cameras, they can zoom in so much and you still get the crisp quality. But that's only like people like myself who are into that video stuff, they can actually see. So you'll actually see the quality of their stuff. It's more crispier, it's more thing than that. Like my stuff's still good, but it's just, yeah, man, it's just different. It's just different. Yeah. So there's pros and cons.
And you learn all this through trial and error.
Through trial and error, man, and just research. I do a lot of testing at home sometimes. Chuck on the camera, see how long I can record for, how long I can stream for. always plan for scenarios, worst case scenarios, and how you can get out of them.
What does it mean?
You're not invited to the wedding, but I'll send you the link so you can join.
Yeah, I can't wait to see Tarek and Janice finally tie the knot.
Yeah, they're an amazing couple, man. Seriously, like when we emailed and they rang me. So I tried to ring them and I got the dial tone. Then the international dial tone. I'll hang up because I don't want to get them to, get like a big, huge phone bill because they'll be getting the ticket. Then they rang me from the quarantine. They're in the quarantine. And we had a chat, and man, they just had amazing energy. They sound really, really bubbly, and so yeah, man, excited for them.
So not only doing the live streaming, you also got your own podcast.
Yeah, man. So
So how did that start?
I think you inspired me. Oh no, a lot of people inspired me.
Yep.
I got a good friend called Lewis Powell. He started up his own podcast, and I actually inspired him to get into video. So he got into videography because of me, and he's got amazing stuff, man. And he was based here in New Zealand, but now he's based in Sydney, Australia. Married, 2 kids, boy and a girl. Really good friend of mine. I went to his wedding as well in Fiji, and I did his photos for him. But anyways, so yeah, man. So he goes, "Oh, you should do it, man. You'll be good." And I was like, I don't know what topic. So I delved in a few topics, and Snap Fitness approached me to do some stuff for them. And I think I'm just gonna look at joining the battle for mental health, not on mental health as well, but just also for other stuff as well. So recently I did some podcasts with some of the personal trainers and also with Ty.
You know,
Sorry.
no, just with the mental health side of things, I think there is a big, not a market, but it's just something that really does need to be talked about. Because like you said before, us as not, besides being men as well, but an island man, it's sometimes tough for us to be vulnerable. It's because we're brought up to be proud, and like you said, like the old adage, like, hey, nah, this isn't how I should be feeling. I've just got to harden up. It's good that now we've got platforms, and this is another platform for us to share our stories, or for men that they've been battling mental health, So that's awesome that that's something that you.
I'm still learning, man. Seriously, just recently I've learned so much about. Sorry to cut you off. Just recently learned about the whole mental health thing. I'm still coming to grasp on it. I have finally come to a consensus that it's real. Because I was still like, oh man, harden up, man. Jeez, life, without sounding bad, life can't be that bad. But I don't know, I've been in the dumps, but I don't know whether it's just me being resilient and just like what you said, Cam, we've always been in a hard place and we've learned many times to get out of it. But we do live in a different generation where some people just find pressure too much, or they're in a state we don't know where they've come from. We don't know their upbringing, and until you know all that stuff, then you can put a list or a diagnostics of, okay, this is where this person's come from. Okay, I understand. But yeah, man, mental health is huge, and it's to hear a lot of sports stars talk about it. For me, I was like, oh man, not gonna name any names, but it's like, oh man, you got all this money in the world and you got mental health. Geez, you know what I mean? But so it's real. It is an issue. Just when I was talking to Ty, there's no magic bullet at the moment. But right now, it's all you can do is just be really supportive to the person who may be going through these tough times, because you might be just the only person they trust. You might be the only person that you maybe saved their lives. You never know, man. You never know.
Yeah, I've listened to some of Lewis's podcast, the Empowered Men.
Yeah, man.
Podcast in Australia. Yeah. So he deals with mental health and all his topics.
Yeah.
And his guests, stuff. So what's the name of your podcast?
So basically, it's called Lop Stream Sessions.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just something simple, man. So I had these other names, but it's I'm just gonna keep true to my brain and split sessions, and I think it's just the content. So yeah.
So you're a Ponsonby boy. How did a boyfriend when he hung out end up with you?
So basically, I started I started. Yeah, man. So long story short, like I got roped. Like when I did my apprenticeship, I stopped playing rugby, but then I ended up going to those island competitions, and one of my
Those are pretty.
yeah, man, yeah,
Those are pretty
stay
brutal,
away,
man.
stay away from those. And one of the boys goes, "Hey, man, like we like how you played." So at the stage I was playing prop, and come down to ponies. We're looking for props. I was like, oh, mate, me seriously? Like, mate, you like Ponsonby, like you get the Olo Browns, and just like it's a predominantly All Black. I was like, mate, you can just come have a run. What's the worst thing that happens? So I turned up first training. I turned up. He wasn't there. I was going, bro, where are you? He goes, oh, I'm not.
Well, I got it. My friend used to play prop with him, Mappa.
Oh, Mapatonga. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're propping partners.
Oh, okay.
Maps.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Mappa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the head of security down here at the West City Mall. I think.
Yeah. Last time I saw him was last year in the historic win by MMT of Australia. That's the last time I saw him there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but my good friend his name is Fifita now. He's also a Westie as well. He asked me to come down. He played flanker. He was like the Jerry Collins in our era. And I rang him, bro, where are you? He goes, I'm not coming training today. I was like, bro. Yeah, man. So I think I just like, you know what, stuff it. I'm going to have a crack. And yeah, man. So I just started training hard. It was a huge learning curve for me, man. They had all these systems. They taught you how to fall. They taught you which way to fall, because just to increase that, it's just all these little technical stuff. First year was a huge learning curve for me. I got, yeah, man. I was in and out of the starting. I was always in the 22 back then. I know it's 23. Always in and out. Struggled. I always had the fitness, but just technique and stuff. Year 2 was better because I worked hard in the off season. So I played for I think 5 years. I had other business opportunities that popped up, hence why I didn't do the 6th year to rack up 100. I think I was sitting about 89, 87 games.
Man.
I think so. Yeah, man. So
I'm sure you can just sneak in another 11 to get
but
that.
it's just why is Pony so successful? It's the culture. I think it's sort of similar without being thing. It's like it's the jersey, and it's the guys that wore the jerseys. Like there were some guys that I played for. I mean, it was good to have All Blacks come down and play with them, and they're just like, mate, just everyday players, nothing special. They're just a little bit more gifted and talented than myself, and just. The jersey that you wore, you just other All Blacks and other greats wore the jersey. And I think it always meant so much. And the out of the 87 games that I played, I only lost 2. And when I lost those 2, it felt like a bloody funeral, man. It's just like it wasn't nice.
Yeah.
It wasn't nice at all. So yeah, man. So that's how I ended up with ponies.
Yeah. And I think I might have, like one of the other guys I don't know, he might have been propping at the same time. Alex. That's a Paul. Was he?
No,
was he a
he's
bit
after me.
Oh,
Way
okay.
after me, yeah, man. Way after me.
Yeah.
So.
No, Ponsonby is that kind of club. I don't know if you feel it, but they're kind of that club that people love to hate.
Yeah, it
and
is.
It's kind of like the Melbourne Storm or there's really there's successful clubs like you got to understand. People don't understand why they just keep churning out these every year. There's someone.
Yeah.
They churn out these guys that end up. If you look, I think they've got probably the highest amount of All Blacks that come out of a club in that,
They got some special players. Like growing up, I mean, like I saw Rico and Akira come up. Not so much Rico, but Akira. Just saw him come up for the age level. I think a couple of times he was playing first 5 for his grade. Man, he was just like a beast, man. And like, everyone knew he was going to be an All Black. It was just a matter of when. And I think he just recently came out. And you probably heard it. He was going to chuck it in, and I think it's just the pressure that people put on him. Same thing. There was a kid on the block playing for my day, a guy called David Smith. There was a lot of pressure put on him to be an All Black. Amazing player. I think he just didn't adjust. This is my personal opinion. But yeah, man, in my era, it's just like I think during my time we won about 5 or 6 in a row or something like that, and it's good that the other clubs are winning it now. It's just make it a bit more exciting. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man.
It's funny because you looking at you now, like Man, prop. You must have
Oh,
been.
no, I'm still overweight at the moment, man. Like, seriously. So yeah, long story short, when I stopped playing rugby, I ballooned up to 160. Then I got into CrossFit at a gym called Lourdes Magnus. So I got into there, and I dropped about 20, 30 kgs easy. Then I was like, man, I'm still not losing any more weight. And he said, oh, go see a nutritionist. And I was like, man, I don't need to see a nutritionist. Long story short, I saw a guy called Dean Geddes, and I went and saw him and paid my money. And I showed me all the stuff, and I go, when do I start? Your next meal. And I go, oh man, like this was a Wednesday. I remember the bloody date. It was on a Wednesday, and he goes, when do I start? Your next meal. And I was like, mate, I haven't bought anything. and he goes, oh, here's your money, mate. Then I was like, okay, mate, freaking heck, I'm gonna do it. And so so I started the next meal. Long story short, the first every fortnight went and saw him, did a weigh-in, checks and stuff. First 2 weeks, dropped about 6 kgs. Long story short, I got to my lightest with him, which was about 98. So my normal weight I should be. I'm currently at 116 at the moment. I was actually 128 during level 4. So I just ate, man. I just ate, man. So 116 at the moment, and my goal was by the end of the year just to get down to about 108, 109, and try and track down slowly.
You're talking about doing, you're doing CrossFit at Lourdes.
Yeah.
One of the guests that we had previously, I think he was a trainer there, Steve Tupper.
Yeah, no, Steve Tups.
And he was telling us about, that when he was there, like the culture there,
It was huge, man.
Yeah.
It was huge.
Because Ruben Wiki was there.
Yep.
You had all those guys in that. With Lopstream, have you ever thought about getting to the fitness side of stuff?
Yep, I have. I had a couple of times D7. What's his name? Can't remember. He had a few competitions. He Deech. He reached out to me to do
from the
Discipline 7.
What's the group called? The New Zealand group. He was the rap group. Smash Proof.
Smash Pumpkin.
Smash Proof. Him, Smash Proof. Him, the Sid, young Sid, and we're not letting. We do listen to his music. We know who they are.
Yeah. So he's approached me a couple of times, but then I either been busy or wasn't unable to do a competition of his as well. But yeah, man. So yeah, I love to get into that space
because there is. I saw one of the boys. He had competed in some bodybuilding contest down in. I think it was Rotorua over the Labour weekend, and I was hoping to see some. I remember stuff like that. I hope someone's live streaming that kind of stuff, and I didn't see anything for that kind of stuff. So, there's so much that potential there. It's just maybe just trying to get on the wave before it kind of blows up.
Yeah. I think it's just I think not many people know of other people that do that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? So, like. Because in the space that I'm predominantly in, it's actually just weddings, birthdays, and that sort of stuff. And that's hence why I want to get into sports, because sports have sponsors. They can put money aside to do that kind of stuff as well. So,
nah, man, it just shows like there's so much out there that can be that's untapped.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's huge, man. It's just huge, and just. It's just people just got to see value in it, and for me personally, is how much value can I add to this client? You know what I mean? So,
did you see that kind of craze going off though? With the CrossFit kind of thing, like
during my time, man, it was
did you know
quite
that
huge?
Yeah,
it was something I always like. I go to the gym, but I don't like lifting weights and stuff. I'm more of a cardio or just functional fitness. That's what I sort of like. You know what I mean? Yeah, man, I enjoyed it. You go in, you smash it out and go. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's still quite huge-ish at the moment. I still follow it. It's just girl, Tia Claire Toomey. She's quite dominant.
She's the
in Australia. Current champ. She took it out again. But this is other guy, Matt Fraser. He's been quite dominant. But there was this dude that was ripping up back when it sort of started getting big, Rich Froning.
Yeah.
He was quite huge. You know what I mean? So.
The cool thing is, like, even if you're a casual fan or even just anyone of fitness, you'll know those three names because of, they're so big. You know, Rich winning it. I think he won it 5 years in a row.
Something like that.
And Matt
Crazy.
Fraser's coming up to the same kind of thing.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love watching it because CrossFit's kind of similar to how the UFC has gone through.
Yep.
MMA, because you've got all the early guys, like all the early champs and that, but now you're getting, and that was guys that were coming from martial arts backgrounds or wrestling backgrounds, and now you're getting the people that have done it full time.
Yeah.
You know, they haven't come to MMA because it's, you know, because that's going to be the only means of making a living after, because, you know, there's no career for a taekwondo or a karate guy, but the MMA or UFC's offered that. The thing about CrossFit as well is that you had all these early people, and so it was kind of like a little cultish kind of thing, you know, a lot of small group of people. But now, because it's expanded, it's worldwide, you're getting the best, the very best athlete.
Yeah, more exposure now.
Yeah.
More exposure, and now more people want to jump on the bandwagon, you know, put out their products, put out their sort of stuff. You know, because it's just more exposure.
How's CrossFit doing now? Because they got a bit of a setback of what the founder said. He said something controversial.
I am not too sure what happened there. I know this year they had to adjust, just like the NBA and NFL and all that kind of stuff. They had to adjust the stuff. So I missed that one, but I'm not too sure. Yeah.
Did you hear about that?
About
the founder of CrossFit. He said
so he sent out a tweet. This was a while back. And then he ended up selling it. Like, there was a lot of people, affiliates, that said, "Look, we're going to take the CrossFit name off our gym because we don't believe in I think it was something a business or something kind of tweet, and it had some kind of like racial undertones, and then everyone, you know, the culture that we live in, everyone's, you know, very quick to jump on and call for people to be cancelled. So, yeah, and then I think he just sold the business or his rights
to
someone else, and then now they've just, you know, I guess that was the way of keeping it, because I think Rich Fradian was one of the first guys to come out and say, "Look, we're going to end our affiliation with CrossFit, you know, be an affiliate of them, and if this guy doesn't, you know, either apologize."
Oh, real?
Yeah. And then so it just blew up, and then, you know, I guess he had no other choice, because I mean, if the greatest of all time is, you know, talking about it, then a lot of people that follow him are gonna take offense to it too. So I guess this is the time we really need to check, like a fact checker here, to just, because people are probably listening, "You're absolutely wrong." I was like, it's nothing along those lines. But, yeah. So, you know, with your fitness journey and that, have you ever thought about doing videos for you, like your own kind of videos as well? Because I mean, you've got the gear for it.
Nah, it's. I think it's for me personally. No, a couple of reasons. It's not the time. I think it's something that's been oversaturated in the market right now. You know what I mean? So it's just like, for me, it's just trying to do something different and just focus on my craft at the moment and trying to perfect it. You might think, "Oh, but you really got to perfect it," but it's just always trying to get it better. I think with anyone listening or any business they're currently doing, I always my wife and I will always talk about is try and be like an app. The app is always updating. The greatest thing about by the way, I've never signed up to this. You guys remember Bebo and those back in the day?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. How many hearts did you get?
Oh,
yeah.
You know, if you made your top 10 list, or, you know.
I used to get annoyed. I used to have dial-up internet back in the day for my studies, and my cousins, I come back from home, from work, or whatever, and they're on doing Bebo. And I go, "What the heck is this? Don't you have anything better to do?" But anyways, back to this app thing. Like, I think one of the greatest thing that Mark Zuckerberg and the Facebook team, and just in general, is they're always looking to better themselves. They're always looking to up the game or develop or add something or just change something. And that's the way I try and look at my business and my wife's business. Or I think, and people just need to look at how can we try and mold ourselves in this day and age. You know what I mean? Is live streaming going to stick around forever? I don't know. You know what I mean? Is podcasts going to stick around? I don't know. But it's just all about how do we mold ourselves to this society, or accustomed to what we have now. Yeah.
I like the app analogy thing.
Yeah.
Always updating.
But it's Facebook though, eh? Like, you know, why they're always ahead of the game. They're always like bringing the lives. I think when Facebook, correct me when I'm wrong, was like when Facebook first started, then he had the like button. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you hit the like button, Now they've got hearts.
Well, there was that. Was it on Social Dilemma, or was it just on the? Oh, so Joe Rogan had the main guy from Social Dilemma on,
Oh, yeah.
and he talked about how they figured out. So they were competing with Instagram, and they found out, like, once you add the like, they saw people start interacting more, and they thought, okay, then how do we go up, because Instagram's done this, and then they, so we're going to add like a heart or something like that. Like they just kept changing it to. They kept adapting it to people, and they realized, okay, we're getting, this is our way of getting interaction. I think that's kind of like Bebo kind of tapped on it when, when they said they had the friends list, and you could put your 10, you'd make a list of all the, you could put people in order.
You're talking foreign. You're talking foreign language.
I'm talking about experience.
I can't remember.
Do you remember?
I can't remember.
No, I remember because
I
you
remember
could.
the photos.
So you put up just like you'd have a web page. It was kind of like your own personal web page.
Yeah.
Where you could, you'd move stuff around, put your photos down here, get your friends, and you'd put them. You put your friends in there, but you could put them in an order, and it kind of, I think, started conditioning people like, oh man, I hope if I go to their page, I've made the top 10 list, or I'm worthy of being their top 20.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because that people had that option. People told me I didn't really a Bebo
Well,
guy.
it was all about engagement. You had to get the person engaged all the time. So
Yeah.
what the like button done was people always checking how many likes they got.
Yeah.
Like if you got 2 likes, then you always come back and check. Oh, how many more likes? You're always checking. So when you're
No,
always
that's
checking,
for people who
Yeah.
who need that kind of
Fix.
that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. Oh, if you, and it's sad if you need that to make yourself feel like, if you put up a status just so you can get someone to, say like or respond. Then
yeah, I listened to that podcast, and it was interesting that he talked about how the different platforms are now competing. I know. They said they're competing for the person, but they're also competing for engagement of their platforms. So, he touched on what Netflix has done. If you notice on Netflix, they got a top 10.
Yeah.
So that's a way to get you to pick that.
It is.
That
It
number
is.
one.
It is. Yeah, and I agree with you. Like, because like sometimes when you're, especially in the lockdown, you go to the top. It's like, oh, what do I watch? I watch almost everything.
Yeah.
Let's see what the top 10 in New Zealand is.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I picked number 1 because it's supposed to be good. then I'm like, okay, so one of the worst things, I'll never get my 4 hours back or whatever. What was that guy with the lions?
I was going to say that.
Sorry,
that was number one.
Number
Tiger
one.
King.
It was Tiger King.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's like,
But it's funny. I watched it and I loved it. You know?
I didn't like it, mate.
Yeah, I loved it.
No. I watched it. I watched like 5 episodes waiting for why is this the
catch.
best? Why is the catch? I've already watched 5 episodes.
Nah, man.
I might as well watch the whole thing now.
No, you had to. You had to. But it just, Carol Baskins, that's her name. Who was the tiger? Well, it just showed how. If there's one thing, it just shows how crazy Americans can be, man.
Yeah.
So if Netflix had the top 10, so that was a way up, right? And then TikTok comes back with, don't even have to press the button. It starts off with the video straight away.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So you don't have to really look for anything. As soon as you open TikTok, the first video just plays. So it's trying to get that engagement straight away.
So you don't even have to choose.
No, you
It's
don't
just
have to
it's
choose.
pretty much telling you you're gonna watch this. But TikTok, it's kind of changed the game.
Yeah, and like, sorry to cut you off, and
No.
probably the biggest thing Facebook has done, because we all knew when we went into the pandemic, Zoom was like, oh, everyone was Zooming, and now like Facebook's got that Rooms, I haven't used it yet, but once again, it's just the convenience. So everyone's got Facebook, everyone knows how to use it. There's no logins, no emails. Like my wife's used that quite a bit, the Facebook Rooms. Have you guys used it?
I'll tell you a little story. We've got a podcast called The Counteract podcast, and it's all
Yeah,
about.
I've been listening to that as well.
And we do it through video calling. We've not settled on. We've probably settled right now. The latest episode, we've finally settled on a platform. But every episode is a different platform. Like we've used everything. We used that Messenger Rooms.
Yep.
Didn't quite work because it's always that lag, and it's all got to do with your
Latency,
internet.
yeah.
Internet, right? But we found that even with the lag internet, we've settled with Microsoft Teams.
Oh, okay.
So that's like the best one the best experience we've
Have you
had
tried
so far.
Google Hangouts?
Yeah, same thing. Like
Zoom?
we haven't tried Zoom because
You need an account.
you
And
need
need
an
to
account,
be
yeah.
over. Yeah, yeah.
And you have to pay for more than because that podcast goes over an hour and a half.
Yep.
Sort of thing. So, no, I think it was trial and error. All those early episodes, all trial and error. Like we had to, we did everything.
I tried FaceTime, but you can do multiple FaceTimes, eh? Oh, but then not everyone will have iPhones.
Yeah, not everyone will have
sorry.
iPhones. So, yeah, we've done even Google Duo, and I found that was good. That was good quality of video, but there was had the biggest lag. Yeah, so each of them probably got one good thing, one bad thing.
Yeah.
But we found that with Microsoft Teams, it's
Probably the best one.
It's the best one. Yeah. So I think we're gonna stick with that.
Cool.
Yeah, but like you said, man, it's all trial and error.
It is all trial and error, eh? And it's life. Like, don't get beat up. Yeah, sometimes I beat myself up quite hard on why things didn't work, and yeah, it's just lately I've been saying to my advice, and my couple of my colleagues at work, it could be worse. You know what I mean? When it's raining, like I was like, oh, it was raining today. It's like, well, it could be worse. Like places don't have rain and they're struggling with water. So I don't know. I was just trying to be always solution orientated. And hey, old guy, he said he had peanut butter and jam sandwich. I said, mate, it could be worse, mate. There's people out there got no lunch, no food. You know what I mean? So yeah, just be grateful.
Anything else that you want to add there, buddy?
No.
Well, that just went like that.
Yeah, seems like long, but man, no, seriously, guys, hey, it's been a pleasure talking. It's great to be on this side, and hopefully didn't bore you with enough tech. But
nah, man, this is the cool thing is, you know how you said before, oh man, you're looking through the list, and we've had Dehamo and King Kapisi and that, but we always find that it's when we get people, we're just trying to learn, and it's getting guys like you that have started from the ground level and that are making moves that we seem to learn off, quite well because we feel like like we've connected to you. We're in the same kind of thing as you, and that's what we've always talked about. Like every guest comes in, and we always go away learn that we've learned something, and it's cool that you've come in straight after Aaron because both of you are talking about grinding and just not settling, and that's what the one thing I've kind of learned. Like, man, you can just it's like your craft. We might think, man, this is probably one of the tightest live streams I've seen, and you're probably watching like this. You'll probably find 30 or 40 errors. Like, no, I could do this better. I could do that better.
I think anything's genuine. Like if you want to do something that you really enjoy, like Gary Vee said, you can turn it into a business. You can turn that into for you to make money and do something you're really passionate and you really, really enjoy. The hardest thing is you got to work. you got to put in the mahi, man. You got to put in the effort and the time. You know what I mean? You can't go and to lose weight. You can't go into the gym and just listen to music and lose weight. You got to put in the work. Whether it's diet, workout, and that sort of stuff. So, and I think some of the younger generation think like LeBron and all those guys. They're there where they're there at the moment. Mate, like if you hear his story on how he got there and the struggles and his mum and mate, it's just like, gosh, it's like, yeah, they're on a bigger stage now, but you got to start somewhere, eh? And it's like, for me to look back at my work and even my wife, we have little chuckles and man, I can't remember we did that type of decoration, or I can't, it's like, I cringe when I look at some of my earlier work. I really do cringe because it's just like, I always try and better myself every single time. What can I do better? You always sorry to always preach that, but if you're not bettering yourself, you got to move. You got to try and better yourself in any way you can. So
you haven't dropped your wife's business in enough. You've mentioned so your wife, the name of her company, or because she does, like you said, planning. What's the name of her?
So her name is her company name's TKT. Which stands for her initials. Her name's Talita Kiume Toltau. So yeah, man. So we currently live in Onehunga, and just a side note, you probably won't like me saying this. So 2015, I think. I'm gonna get this wrong. I'm gonna get in trouble, man. Yeah, 2000. I think 2015. She graduated and she got a doctorate and PhD in art and design. One of the first Pacifica women to do that. Yeah. So she, long story short, she got that and she got offered a job at AUT, and yeah, it's like she always came back like kind of like sad. It's like, oh, what is it? And like, oh, I don't really enjoy teaching. And he goes, oh, what do you enjoy doing? And he goes, oh, man, I want to do decorating and business. Oh, yeah, let's do it. And she was kind of like surprised and taken away for me to say that. And like, I've always got this motto, man, like if you don't enjoy what you're doing, don't do it. You know what I mean? And I think one of the obstacles, like we had a few obstacles, not obstacles was just coming from a Polynesian background, is just trying to help her parents understand, because like sometimes parents like, oh, you got to do you need to be a teacher, you got to do the 9-to-5 stable job to get the stable income, and for me it's like, oh, worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out, you have to go teaching. So she made it work, and she's amazing in what she does. She doesn't have a Facebook page, which I continue to tell her to do that, so just look her up, Talita Toluta'u. So I do most of the video editing for her. She's cool because of her art background. She does a lot of the graphics for my stuff. I can do the graphics, but for example, if it takes me an hour to do all my graphics, it'll take her 10 minutes. Because that's her background, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, she's full on at the moment. She's high in demand, and once again, like we always support each other. We tell people, we always like, oh, you should do this better. We pretty much keep both of ourselves honest, and we're literally just always looking at trying to push the boundaries, just trying to make ourselves different. Yeah, one of her huge assets, my plug-in for me, is because I'm a builder, I can make stuff for her. Yeah, man. So she went to go hire this big 21, and to hire it was like $200. Then you got to take it back. I was like, oh, I'll make one for you. We'll go buy the material. So the material cost $20, and now she's got a 21 that she can use. Yeah. So, yeah, man. So, yeah. So she's really enjoying. I think she's in her 3rd year. She's making some great coin, and it's for me, man. I like it when I see her eyes light up. Like when just when she just enjoys on what she does. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, like, she had a meeting with this another lady, and she goes, oh, why did you leave? And she didn't really have an answer, but next time she met her, because I told her, it's like, like, for people who, like, don't really understand, like, why we do what we do, that our side hustles, is because that's something we really, really enjoy. And it's like, and like, so basically she didn't have an answer, but next time she asked, she goes like, because I enjoy what I enjoy doing and I make some good coin. And it's not about the coin. And she told him, so if you had a choice to do what you wanted to do, and you got paid for it, or it supplement your income, what would you do? And she goes, oh, that's a great idea. I would love to write books for kids. And that's what she wanted to do. And then she understood why my wife do what she does. Yeah.
Oh man, that's
for me,
awesome,
that's an amazing sort of, like, for me, like the meaning of life sort of thing. Like there's always that question, what is the meaning of life? And I think exactly that, what you said, like everyone has to live what they love to do.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes, because remember when Aaron was here, he touched on it before, like sometimes society puts you in a direction where you don't love what you want to do.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's, you got to pay the bills. You're stuck paying the bills. You're sort of like trapped. You're sort of like a slave to what you do in daytime, but you're not in love with it. But you've got to do it to pay the bills and survive and do all that. But then sometimes you're trapped because then you got the internet and got the consumerism and you got all those things that you see that you want and need and things that you don't really need. Until you like. You get caught in that up and there, and then next minute you're gonna be 65 and you retire, and then next minute you die.
like
that sort of thing. But it's like, I think what people have to. I think people have to find It's old. It's an old thing, eh? Like, you got to find what you love early,
Yeah.
so you know what to do.
Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. Like for me, it's like it was my wife when she started business, and she goes, "Oh, what do you enjoy doing?" And I say, "Oh, I'm not 100% sure, but I do enjoy videoing." And it's like, "Oh, why don't you do live streaming?" I was like, "Oh, the reason why I didn't want to get into it was I really want to just do, like, sometimes you do one thing. Let's just do one thing, master that, then we move on. Instead of doing, like, for example, you rather bake one good cupcake instead of baking 6 cupcakes that don't really taste the greatest. You know what I mean? So that was just my thing. It's like, let's just do one thing. Let's master your thing. Get your team up and running. Then I can start my thing. So I was kind of, plus I had a day job anyway, so I needed to focus on that. But yeah, like what you said, Cam, like it's just find something that you really enjoy. In the space that my wife and I are in, you see a lot of our people, especially the poly people, and people like they're making these amazing cakes, and it's like, man, and it's like, I enjoy baking a cake, or I enjoy being a DJ, or I enjoy just coming in being a florist. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's the older generation, or I would say our parents, they don't understand that because they're just being respectful, because they were geared up or wired up to, you got to work in this company from 9 to 5, work there for 20 to 25 years, get your super or get your bonus, or I don't know, get your what you call it, your retirement thing, or super or whatever. Then you retire. You know what I mean? We're geared up to try things. You know what I mean? And do something that we love doing. But it's just finding out what you enjoy, love doing. Yeah.
Man, it just seems like we just keep finding guys like you who just seem to inspire, because that's a lot of feedback. As big as we get all these other guys on, some of the feedback that I always get from friends and family or people that listen to the podcast, oh man, who's that guy? Where'd you find that guy? Like I was getting that with Aaron, and I'm sure we're going to get the same thing with you, because we haven't had the first kind of guy that's come on that's kind of done his own, who's branched out and doing his own kind of side hustle, doing that live stream, because we all know that everyone wants to be, the beauty of live streaming is you can be somewhere where you're physically unable to make it,
For those who are listening, like it's all about just, like, I don't know about you, Cam, like how many people do you approach for your podcast, and how many people say yes, and how many people say no? Like, give us an idea.
Yeah, there has been some no's.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's been a lot more yeses than no's.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. But like when you first started, bro. Sorry, man. I'm taking over the show, but like just to give people an idea, like how many people, like when you first started, like.
Well, when we first started, we probably weren't thinking about getting any guests. It was just mainly me and my
boys
mates,
just chatting.
Yeah,
and
just the boys, and and probably didn't get our first guest until probably episode 20. Yeah, episode 20 was our first guest.
Yeah, and I think that's like I'm very analytical, like stats and stuff. Like for my live stream, like man, but you need to understand, like, and probably not everyone understands that. Like, I wasn't expecting to generate a whole bunch of customers. For me, I was like, I need to do free stuff, and if I stuff up, that's fine, because they're not getting paid for it.
Yeah.
And I just need to perfect my craft. And every time, this is me, when I do my live streaming, every time I do a live stream, I look back, am I worth, what the client paid for? Is it worth it? And I think, oh, cool, then I'll be happy. I mean, obviously it's little things, but like, yeah, man, for anyone just looking to run a business and stuff, like, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of grind and a lot of hustle and a lot of time. You have to sacrifice, to do what you really want to do.
Leni, thanks for coming on board the bus, brother.
No worries, man. Thanks, guys.
Cheers, man.
Oh, thanks, boys. Thanks for having me, man. Really
That was me.
appreciate it.